Oh, that's a Jew. Tyler, you are drenched with sweat right now.
Huh?
Why isn't this movie The Town? Hello, classmates. Javier has entered the chat. Happy Gilmore 2, The Reckoning. Joseph's playing games, and Monkey Man fights the first omen.
Oh, it's time for class.
Class is in session!
Roll call!
Bueller.
I'm gonna be late for class.
Bueller.
Am I hallucinating here? Just what in the hell do you think you're doing?
I'm late for class.
You are mine now. You belong to me.
Did you study for the test?
No more complaining. No more Mr. Kimble to go to the bathroom. Nothing. There is no bathroom.
Welcome to Middle Class Film Class. I'm your host for today, Pete.
I'm Javier.
And I'm Joseph.
And we have a great show in store for you today. Welcome to everybody joining us on YouTube Live and otherwise, and as well to the OG classmates listening in podcast land. And we need to address the the Javier in the room. What's up, buddy?
Yo, what's up, everyone? How we all doing?
Oh, great. So happy. So good to have you back on the show.
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
The last time you were on, you reviewed 2 movies, Hellraiser and...
No, it was. I've done 3.
3?
Yeah. So it was the first one was The Voices.
Like I just completely in shock right
The
now.
Voices.
3? I only remember 2.
You did The Voices with us?
Yeah. It was The Voices.
Okay.
Because you were on your honeymoon, and then you said
Honeymoon, what?
No, honey. Oh my God.
5-year anniversary.
5-year honeymoon anniversary, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And then after that, it was Hellraiser.
Yes.
And then after that, it was The Godfather.
Godfather.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we did The Godfather together.
I do remember that.
That was
but
at Joseph's place too. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
was Tyler not there as well?
He was not there.
flip a coin. Tyler's not here.
Oh, yeah. More often than not.
Where is Tyler, Joseph?
From what I understand is that he is currently at the dump.
Literally at the dump.
with his father. In my opinion, he's looking for a new mattress or something.
He did say in the chat, he goes, "Sorry, fellas, I can't be there Saturday. I got to go to the dump with the old man." And we said, "Okay, well,
Okay, I guess you won't be here."
Yeah, it'll be perfect because Javier's going to be here, so we don't have to reformat for 4. Even though we got the mic, but we don't have the camera.
Yeah.
We're gonna scramble and figure something out, and we're like, you know what? Let's let it go.
Yeah.
And he goes, "I hope I find something good."
In my head canon is like his mom washed the sheets and he's like, I don't want clean sheets.
I lost my signature funk.
Yeah, my imprint.
Yeah, exactly. So we're here in the studio again. We got Javier here.
Patreon member, Javier.
Yeah, the OG Patreon member.
cool ass yard duty.
Yeah,
very first one.
First Patreon member, first cool ass yard duty since day one. And I think at this point you might have hosted more shows than Tyler has. I definitely seen more movies than Tyler has.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. You've stood in for me and you've stood in for Tyler.
Yeah.
Now it's Pete's turn eventually.
Good luck. Pry me out of this chair with my cold dead hands.
Have you ever not been in a show?
No.
No. Okay.
It's funny that we took a week off for Christmas a couple years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, it was not last Christmas, the 2021.
Yeah.
2022 Christmas. Mm-hmm. And that week I got COVID, and I was fucked up with COVID.
Yeah.
Like I was out. I watched all 13 Hellraiser, all 12 Friday the 13th movies
Yeah.
in,
I remember
in
you talking
36
about
hours.
that. Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
The worst
It
Thursday.
made my COVID stupor even worse.
It evolved into super COVID
I know.
because of that.
I got sicker. But
Now we have a new curse of a movie that we're all going to be talking about.
yeah. Did you watch the Hip Hop Witch?
No, hell no.
Have you
Okay,
heard
good.
of the Hip Hop Witch?
I recently heard of this.
Just
Okay.
this morning when I was telling him about it. It was-
Okay.
he knocked on the door to the studio, and I was just moaning inside. He's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "Oh, the witch got me." But I'll
Got
be,
a finger in my ass.
yeah, I'm gonna pay off the Hip Hop Witch and Loquisha, which are my 2 punishment movies
I
for the
forgot
week.
about LaQuisha.
Yeah, that was fun. All right, enough pre-Gab and Chatter. Let's get into some proper Gab and Chatter.
Find some charity, ye lad. Now's the time for Gab and Chatter.
Gab and Chatter, movie news of the week. Javier, lead us off.
Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna I'm filling in for Tyler, so I read the article of something and that's all I did.
Just the headline.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're making Happy Gilmore 2. Whoa.
The sequel.
Yeah.
Long awaited.
Happy Gilmore 2, The Reckoning.
Yeah, I
Chubb's
didn't
Revenge.
I didn't read anything about it, so no clue what it's about.
Something to do with maybe some guy named Happy.
Maybe, but who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Adam Sandler, I think, is a part of this one. I mean, it's a Happy
would hope so.
Madison production. It'd
Happy
be-
Madison, yeah.
I'm
be
going to
weird if he
assume that
wasn't.
he plays the role of the late, great Carl Weathers as Chubbs.
Yeah.
Or not playing Chubbs himself,
Like
but
like the character arc.
yeah, the what's the word? The wise teacher.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
pie maid to his Beatrix kiddo.
Yeah.
Or the Chubbs to his Happy.
Yeah, or that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's one.
What did you say when we were talking about this before? That they were, instead of having Bob Barker, they were going to have Drew Carey.
Drew Carey.
Oh, Drew Carey.
The Price is Right, bitch. Yeah, for Drew Carey. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
That would be good.
Yeah.
That'd be
Is that your actual story?
I mean, so like that's a half
That's just
story
fun.
there.
That's
Hot
just fun.
news.
Something else I wanted to talk about, which happened not too long ago, but Akira Toriyama, who is the creator of Dragon Ball, along with a couple other ones, but Dragon Ball being the most successful, passed away about a month ago. And if you guys aren't aware, Dragon Ball has a really huge cultural impact in the Hispanic and Mexican community for a lot of different reasons.
Do you know why that is? Because I heard that, but I never heard it elaborated on.
So a couple of things. One of them being that Mexico was actually getting those imports sooner than the U.S. And so it was getting to Mexico at a quicker rate. And on top of that, like, it was just a story that I think a lot of people related to, about like a character who, whenever they're pushed to their limits and like they're all out of options, they somehow find the impossible to do something and break through their limits. And it's just something that I think a lot of people connected with. So much so that when Akira Toriyama passed away, there was a really wild rumor that everyone believed that the Mexican cartel was doing a ceasefire in honor of his death. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Not true?
Lay down your weapons.
I mean, so here's the thing. Everyone totally believed it. Like this, like Dragon Ball had like Mexico in the clutches, you know, like so there was a while ago. So they have like Dragon Ball Super, which is the latest series. So it's Dragon Ball Z, then Dragon Ball Super.
Okay.
So what Mexico was doing was they were like getting these huge plazas, like similar to like a soccer game, you know, and they like display that.
Outdoor viewing parties.
Yes, they had that for the like last season of Dragon Ball. It was a Tournament of Power, right?
Wow.
And the Japanese government found out and they sent them a cease and desist. And the Mexican government left them on red.
Really?
They played the series finale and then responded with, "We're so sorry, won't happen again. We're not going to do that." They're like, "That was the last episode." They're like, "Oh shit, my bad, dude."
Oh, that's great.
I can't control what you do.
Technically, I think they're legally probably fine in that situation.
It is what it is, but yeah, it's really big in the Hispanic culture. So
That's really funny.
yeah.
You're a DBZ fan.
You know what? I think I'm not like a huge anime fan. I really do love Dragon Ball. Like it's probably like my go-to anime, and it's super cliched in a lot of ways, but I don't know. It speaks to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I watched a little bit of Dragon Ball growing up because it was always like on like Toonami.
Yeah, it was.
It was always like
Yeah.
it'd always
That's where
be
I
on
went to.
when I would get home from school.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I'm watching this so I can watch the next thing, and I don't remember the next Ed and Eddie or something. I don't know.
I felt like it was like Aeon Flux or Ghost in the Shell, and then Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And then they pepper in too many cooks and just really fuck you up.
yeah.
Yeah. But that's so the ceasefire cartel probably didn't happen, most likely.
No, well, in fact, the LA Times says there's no evidence that this. In fact, they're advancing. They're using landmines now.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah. Wishful thinking.
Lay
yeah.
down your machetes.
The problem is they don't know how to use them. So they're throwing them like frisbees.
and your desert eagles.
They're like, what if we bury them? We're not going to know where they are later. What if one of our guys blows up? They're like, you know what?
man.
You know what, Medellin, you have a point.
Yeah. I hope they're not watching. They got
people everywhere.
Yeah, well,
They do.
okay, cool, awesome. Anything else on that?
No, that's it.
All right, perfect. Joseph, what do you have for us?
What do I have for you guys? A couple of things. First, big news for Denis Villeneuve, who's a super hot commodity right now.
Yeah.
Like, just everybody wants him to make a movie for
Denny's
them.
so hot right now, Denny.
And before, right when Dune Part 2 released, he was saying, like, I'm not going to make the third Dune right away. I'm going to do these other projects first. He has some other projects in line, like Rendezvous with Rama, which is another science fiction book that he would adapt.
I never heard that.
And then he has a Cleopatra movie I think he wants to do. And most recently, he has this movie called Nuclear War, A Scenario, which is about a world where what happens if nuclear war happens.
Okay. So Fallout?
I think that's also based on a book. But because, I guess, of how hot and how well performed Dune Part 2 did, they're like, it's been greenlit and now it's in development. So Dune Messiah, which is its own book, is officially...
It's coming.
It's officially happening. Maybe much to Denis' chagrin, and how much he didn't want to do it right after Dune Part 2.
You got to ride that sandworm, baby.
I know. And it's crazy how these movies were made because Denis essentially bet on himself with part 1.
Yeah.
In hopes that people would like it enough to then do a part 2. And then he did it again with part 2.
He was literally, it was
to make the third one, hopefully.
He was Babe Ruth calling his shot in the center field. He's like,
Yeah.
it's going yard. We're going part 2.
Yeah. But
That's awesome.
But it's worked in his favor, and now it's happening. So
Cool.
I'm super excited for it. I'm also very worried about it because I've heard the third book is just not as good. Or not third book, the second book, Dune Messiah, is just not as good as the original.
Yeah.
So in the third one, tell me if you know this. If you don't, it's fine.
I don't.
Okay. Moving on. No, I was gonna say, like,
Let's pontificate though.
Are the characters? Yeah, I know. We're gonna keep the spirit of Tyler alive and talk about stuff we don't know about.
Yeah.
Take the cheers to that.
We very good.
Don't worry about me. I'm not racist.
All right.
Thanks, Tyler.
No, are the characters like the same age in the Dune Messiah? Or is
It takes place like 15 years later or something.
so we could wait a little bit.
He could wait
For
a little bit.
Timmy to get that like dad bod
Yeah.
instead
Yeah.
of the twink bod that he's got right now.
But they've changed the
Otter
timeline.
physique.
They changed the timeline for these modern versions, I think, a little bit.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Because there are certain things with the characters like between Paul and Chani that don't happen in this movie in part 2, although it's like kind of alluded to. And but it's like, I don't know how big of an impact it is in the actual novel, the book itself. So I don't know what they're gonna do or what he's gonna do.
All right.
So I'm like scared because like it's the third movie of this like already great biology. No, biology,
Duology, yeah.
biology. So yeah, the third movie. I mean, Spider-Man 3 and Dark Knight Rises to a better extent compared to Spider-Man 3.
Can you think of any movies where the third one was actually better or like really good?
Iron Man 3 was way better than the second one, but
Nowhere near the first one.
I think to me they're pretty close, but I think Iron Man 1 is more of a great standalone on its
Right.
own.
Yeah.
Third one expands to a very different vibe, but I think it's still pretty good.
That's fair.
Um,
I think the third MCU Spider-Man was probably one of the better ones.
oh, No Way Home.
Yeah.
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 The one with Tobey Maguire where he's dancing,
that's the
clearly the best.
I've heard Guardians 3 is pretty good, but I
Have you
haven't
not seen it?
I haven't seen it.
No, I
no.
haven't seen it yet either.
Oh man.
I don't know if it's better than the first one. But
I have a
starter.
yeah.
I have a list of catch-up movies from last year. Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, John Wick 4, Zone of Interest, Anatomy of a Fall, Killers of Flower Moon, Suzume, Boy and the Heron, and Kane Mutiny Court Martial. Those are my missed list. So
see.
I'll
I
get to it eventually.
Return of the King is
Yeah, that's a good call.
Is-
I still like the first one best.
yeah, I don't know.
Revenge of the Sith is another.
That's
one.
probably the best one out of.
Brave Little Toaster 3, Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars.
Is that actually the name?
Surpasses. There is a Brave Little Toaster Goes to Mars,
okay.
but I don't know if it's the third in the series.
Land Before Time 3 was just superior.
Yeah, Littlefoot's Revenge.
Chat, if you know any third movies in a trilogy that are better than the first one, or just better than the second one,
Yeah.
or just actually good.
DreamWorks has a really good like first one and the second one being really like almost on par, and then the third one always falling off.
Shrek the Third.
Toy Story 3 is pretty good though. Toy Story 3 is.
That's not DreamWorks.
That's Pixar.
I thought you were saying Pixar.
No, he
you
said
said DreamWorks.
No,
Oh, my bad. My bad.
DreamWorks,
So
yeah.
Shrek the Third, not good.
How to Train Your Dragon 3 is solid. The whole series is fucking great.
First two are so much better. That
I
third one kind
agree.
of fell off a little bit. Kung Fu Panda 3, not that great. It's like they're not horrible. They're just nowhere near.
If you're
as good
on
as
a
the first
gummy,
two.
it's great. In the chat, we have a couple new, not new to us, but new to the live stream. Andrew from Cult of Cinema. Look him up at Cinema with an S, like sinning.
Ooh.
On TikTok's got a great TikTok account, and back catalog for Andrew Watches Movies, another great podcast. And then Heather Sachs, one of our cool ass yard duties.
Oh, what's up, Heather?
Yeah,
How you doing?
fellow cool ass yard duty.
Yeah.
And she says that Dune Messiah is 12 years later.
12 years
12
later.
years later.
Yeah. Well, close
12 years a slave later.
I saw the 12 years later, and I was like, that's not a third
It's not a
movie
sequel.
anywhere.
That's a third of the 12 years a slave movie.
First, it was 4 years a slave, 8 years a slave,
Oh,
and
no.
12 years a slave.
Damn, that was quick math. That was really good.
Yeah, very good.
Quick maths. Okay, so that's exciting stuff. Dune Messiah coming from Denis Villeneuve. to complete Paul Atreides' arc.
Yes, yes.
Historic.
I was stoked by that.
I am stoked by that.
Yes. Thanks,
Jack is not. I don't think he is.
No, he hates that drop.
Yeah. Okay, and I have a game for you guys.
Ooh, okay.
A game.
Huzzah.
And this is pretty easy. I'm basically just gonna give you 2 movies at a time, and you're gonna tell me if which movie is higher or lower than the other one.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll give
like,
you a name of a movie and
higher
then
or lower on what?
an IMDb rating.
IMDb. Okay.
Yeah. You have to tell me the score. You just tell me if it's higher or lower.
Okay. This is just a higher, lower, sort of a 50-50 coin flip.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
And I'll ask both of you. Like, do you think it's higher? Do you think it's lower? Do you think it's
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Can you do the buzzer ding
Yeah, sure. I got you.
for me if you got it? All right. First 2 movies. Is Beetlejuice higher or lower than Edward Scissorhands?
Oh, I feel confident in this.
Or you can just say either of those movies is higher or lower.
You want to do like thumbs up, thumbs down at the same time?
No, just say it.
Oh,
This is
okay.
the audio podcast.
I'm gonna say Beetlejuice is lower.
Ooh, I was gonna
On
say,
IMDb.
I was gonna say higher. Ooh,
Okay.
IMDb. You're right.
It's IMDb.
I'm thinking Rotten Tomatoes.
Because there's different metrics to that. I'm gonna say, to me, I'm gonna say lower.
Edward Scissorhands.
You're saying,
Okay,
you're
just
saying Beetlejuice is lower?
I'm
Go
gonna
with
say-
your gut
I'm gonna say
instinct.
Beetlejuice is higher.
You're saying Beetlejuice is lower?
Yeah, Beetlejuice is lower
I'm
for
saying
me.
the opposite.
Edward Scissorhands is higher.
This game is fucking rigged. There's no way.
Thank you.
Okay, next one is The Batman, the Robert Pattinson Batman, and Batman Begins. Is Batman higher or lower than Batman Begins?
Batman is higher.
The Batman is
the
higher?
Batman?
The Batman.
Batman Begins is higher.
Batman Begins
Is
higher.
damn it.
Yeah, well, you did a little preemptive there.
Oh, I knew it. I knew it
Okay.
in my yeah.
Next
well, I knew
one. Different. We're in a different time zone with these scores here on this one. Madam Web or Morbius? Which one is higher?
Ooh. IMDb.
Madam Web or Morbius?
They're both
Go ahead.
awful, is what I
You
hear.
guess.
Madam Web.
I say Morbius higher.
The answer is Morbius is higher.
Oh my fucking
3
God.
for 3, baby.
Who's really keeping track?
Yeah, really.
I'm just gonna throw this up here.
Okay.
Okay,
go.
the next one. Interstellar or Oppenheimer? Which one is higher?
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer, I agree.
You would be incorrect.
No way.
Interstellar is higher.
What's the scores?
Interstellar is 8.7. Oppenheimer's 8.3.
Wow, that's surprising.
Yeah.
Interstellar won, winner of what, 8 awards, Academy Awards, right?
Something
Oh no, that's Oppenheimer, the better
Oh,
movie.
Yeah.
oh goodness.
I don't know. I don't know how many Oscars, but whatever. Okay, next one. Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the Johnny Depp, Tim Burton, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, or Wonka?
Oh God, I think it's Wonka.
I'm gonna say
Wonka's
Wonka.
higher.
Yeah.
The answer is Wonka.
Yeah. Was it even close?
It's a 0.4 difference.
Wow.
7.1 for Wonka, 6.7 for Charlie and the
People
Chocolate Factory.
enjoyed the Charlie one.
It's fucking weird.
It is. Yeah, it's
weird.
I think that it gets unfairly shit upon. The first time I watched it, I hated it. I watched it again. I'm like, okay, he actually wants these children dead, which
Yeah.
is what I appreciated about the first one.
He is
The
a
original-
sociopath.
The original Gene Hackman, yeah, he's a sociopath, like a true sociopath with real daddy issues, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, are you referring? Oh, never mind. Okay. Next one. Blade Runner, the original Blade Runner, Ridley Scott's Blade Runner, or
Blade Runner 2049.
Blade Runner 2049.
2049. I'm going 2049. Even though it should be Blade Runner.
I think it's the
2049.
opposite. I think the original Blade Runner is higher, and I think the second one should be higher.
No. I totally agree. I think the second one is a better
one.
movie.
Okay, cool.
I do think what Blade Runner did, it deserves its credits.
Okay. Well, yeah, sure.
Okay, so you're saying the original.
2049.
Oh, you're saying the new one is higher,
I'm saying it's higher.
and you're
I'm
saying
saying the original is higher.
The answer is the original is higher.
By
0.1.
Oh man,
8.1 and 8 for Blade Runner 2049.
you think
Wow.
you think Denny saw that and was just like, "Suck it, Ridley Scott, just fuck yourself."
Yeah. So close, Denis. So close. It is a better movie, in my opinion.
I agree.
All right, next one. This is an interesting pairing. Bullet Train or Deadpool 2?
I really hope it's Bullet.
I like how
Bullet
you
Train.
pick these movies and you're like, this is an interesting pairing. Here's a good one. I do that too. I'm like, all right, get ready for this one. I'd say Deadpool 2. I'm not confident about that.
I feel like it's Bullet. I feel like that was like a sleeper. People expected it to be stupid and actually found it to be so
Bullet
much
Train
fun.
a lot.
Deadpool 2?
No, Bullet Train.
I'm saying Bullet Train.
No, I'm okay. Whatever.
Wait, the answer is Deadpool 2?
No, I'm just. That's what you're talking about.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
No. I was
So you're saying
Deadpool 2.
You're saying Deadpool 2 is higher?
Jesus.
What are you saying?
Bullet Train?
It's higher.
And I'm
Yes.
saying Deadpool 2 is higher.
I'm pointing for the audio listeners. I'm pointing at Pete right now.
Yeah.
And
Who's
he's
saying what here? Okay.
Bullet Train,
No,
Deadpool 2.
no. You say what yours is.
Deadpool 2.
Is higher.
Yeah.
Bullet Train. Joseph is pointing at
Yeah,
me.
I'm pointing at it.
Bullet Train.
Bullet Train. Deadpool 2 is higher.
This game. I don't think I've gotten a right one.
You did. You got one right.
Which one? The Charlie one. The Wonka.
Yeah, Wonka.
But we both got that right.
Okay. The next one. The Lighthouse or The Witch?
Which one's higher?
Ooh,
The
wow.
Lighthouse.
That's a tough one. Lighthouse of the Witch.
I think it's the Lighthouse.
I want to say the Witch.
The answer is The Lighthouse.
Ooh.
I'm coming back.
7.4. And The Witch is at 7.
Oh, wow.
So close.
I like the Lighthouse better, so
Yeah.
I should just go with that next time.
Okay. Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one, or the Suicide Squad, this James Gunn Suicide Squad.
Oof.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
I was gonna say that too, but just to make sure there's a little imbalance here, I'm gonna go.
Oh, there's already
the
an imbalance,
Suicide
don't
Squad.
worry.
Yeah.
You're saying Suicide Squad?
The Suicide.
The Suicide
The
Squad.
Suicide Squad. Yes.
It is Guardians of the Galaxy is higher.
I felt that, but was
Okay. Next one. Coco, Pixar's Coco,
Okay.
and Ratatouille.
I was gonna say Coco automatically, but Ratatouille.
Easy
I think
Ratatouille
it's
for me.
Ratatouille, but if you're going Ratatouille, I have to go Coco.
The answer is Coco.
Damn it.
8.4. Ratatouille.
Wait, that was me? I got it? I was so expecting the defeat.
Ratatouille is 8.1.
Wow.
Yes. Well, thank you for playing. That's all I have.
Who won?
I didn't keep track.
We'll never know.
Well, sitting in the Tyler chair, he's known to lose a lot of
Yeah,
trivia,
you're cursed.
movie-related games.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't watch movies.
You're drunk.
But yeah, that's all I have.
Cool. Awesome. All right. Let's see. What do we have? I was going to talk about Gladiator 2, but I don't really want to get into that because I have new movies that I watched this week that I really wanted to spend some time talking about. I'll just give you a very quick rundown and you guys can look it up yourself. But the original script for Gladiator 2 was going to be written by Nick Cave of Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
The musician.
The musician, who was the screenwriter for The Proposition.
Yes.
And then the screenwriter for Lawless with Tom Hardy and Shia LaBeouf. And at the time, Nick had only had one screenplay to his name. It was like something about some civil battle or something like that. And Russell Crowe and him are both Australian. They're both pals. And after Gladiator 1 was such a success, Crowe came to him and said, hey, you want to write the sequel? And Nick Cave said, didn't you die in the first one? And he goes, yeah, you'll figure it out. And basically gave him carte blanche. And he wrote one called Gladiator 2 Christ Killer, where Russell Crowe's character of Maximus Meridius, Decimus Iridius or whatever, gets resurrected from the dead, goes up, ascends up to Elysium while he's dead, and he meets with all the gods from various different religions, the demigods of Greek culture, and then there's Christ figures in there as well. And basically all of those demigods up there are dying because people starting to believe in Jesus Christ as this God. And they send him back to Earth to kill Jesus.
Wow.
What?
That was the plot of Gladiator 2.
Is that, and so Jesus is the bad guy or who's the bad guy in this?
I think at this point,
God.
depending on your relationship or your religion, is Maximus is the bad guy. He's the Terminator.
He's an anti-hero.
He's the Terminator coming back to kill Jesus. And it's like, I guess that's supposed to put into effect all of the events of the Christ figure,
Christ
but dying for our sins and whatnot.
Yeah.
We got this hippie down here healing people. Take them out.
Yeah, well, like people are believing in him, not us, like Zeus and Odin and stuff. We need to get rid of this Jesus figure.
I see.
Because it's like Tinkerbell. If you don't believe, they die.
Yeah, I do believe in fairies.
And the funny thing was, in the X-Men Origins Wolverine, where him and Sabretooth go back in time, and they fight in all the historic battles, and they're like in the Civil War, and
World War
Vietnam.
II and stuff like that.
The last 20 minutes of this movie is that, and it's Maximus. He's immortal at this point. And he goes back and fights all the battles from Christ all the way up until like Korean War and everything.
He's fighting Jesus.
He kills Jesus, and then he's out for blood.
Wow.
This all sounds like it's fake. You can download the PDF. You can
It's written.
You can read that.
It's done.
It's done.
Wow.
And then he gave it to Ridley Scott and Russell Crowe, and they both said, "Yeah, not a fan, mate." And they said no, but we appreciate it.
I wonder why.
They said we really actually like it as its own original piece of fiction or its own screenplay, but not in the Gladiator ethos.
That would make no sense.
I think it's fucking great. I would have loved that. So
We
anyway,
need some like those Gravitas Venturas production company to make that script.
yeah, absolutely.
So we're not talking about that.
No, we're not. That's basically
No, we're not going to talk about it.
that's it. So I'll put a link to the PDF in the show notes, so you can download it and read it yourself. I sent a copy of it, a link to Eric Holmes, and because I know he's a big script guy, he likes reading scripts in kind of his free time. He's a writer, and he said, "Oh, I read this years ago because this was in like 2001, like right after Gladiator came out, and they were like looking for the sequel."
Yeah.
And so it's not like it's a new thing, but it's more recently been available as a PDF, so you can read it. And he says, "Yeah, it's a good."
And with Gladiator 2 coming out.
Gladiator 2 coming out, it's kind of a funny comparison, to see the two.
What we could have had.
We're so close to greatness. Okay, so in lieu of any actual news stories or in-depth conversation, I want to talk about two new movies. The first one, Joseph and I both saw, Monkey Man, Dev Patel's directorial debut. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
We're big on monkey content right now. We got Kong and Godzilla, Monkey Man, and then the Planet of the Apes movies coming out.
That's true. And then we have Monkey Man, and then Dog Man by Luc Besson is coming out. Weird parody there.
Another animal man.
And then we have Ghostbusters Frozen Empire and Godzilla X Kong A New Empire.
Oh.
What the fuck?
What's going on here?
I know. What is happening?
And then we have a kingdom. Yeah, we have the kingdom of the planet of the fallen of the apes and
all those things. Yeah. So let's talk about Monkey Man. You saw it last night, Joseph. So did I.
Yes, we saw Monkey Man, and it was like a John Wick light a little bit. I mean, I've only seen the first John Wick movie, and I think this movie takes. I don't want to say rips off John Wick or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a strong debut for Dev Patel to just come out with this is like action.
Yeah.
Movie
kind of feels a little like opposite of what he's known for.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I only know him really from Slumdog Millionaire, Lion, and
The Green Knight.
Yes, The Green Knight.
He just is. He. What I think of him when I think of Dev Patel is like a very charismatic person that you're like drawn into, and you care intensely about him, regardless of if he's a villain or a hero or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know. He just seems very charismatic, and there's a lot of talk about the new Bond, and his name was thrown out a few times about potentially being a new Bond.
Yeah.
And after watching Monkey Man, I'm like, if him not getting Bond means we get more movies like this from him, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
But it would have been really cool because seeing him in this, he's this ass kicking, not very suave and debonair, but near the end, he kind of puts on that affront.
Yeah. He gets more confidence.
Yeah. And to me, it felt like a mix between...
He inhales the spice.
It reminded me of a mix between like Ong Bak and John Wick. Have you guys seen Ong Bak?
No.
It's
no.
Ong Bak.
The elephant movie.
No, that's The Protector, which is Ong Bak 3.
Oh, okay.
It's not really Ong Bak 3. It's like Ong Bak. The Protector came out after that, which is featuring Tony Jaa, essentially playing the same character, but not named the same thing. And then Ong Bak 2 after that.
Right.
And Ong Bak is like the Muay Thai warrior is a subtitle for it. And he's basically the guy that brought Muay Thai to America. That's kind of like the thing. He was like when it was like Jet Li was a big name, Jackie Chan was a big name, and then all of a sudden, this new guy came out of nowhere, Tony Jaa. And he was throwing fucking elbows at people and jumping on your head like a monkey and stuff. And he was the power of Muay Thai, you know, was like this whole thing. And I remember watching it 2004 or something like that, like right around when it came out. And I had a friend that was into MMA. And we worked together at Best Buy, and he put me in a sleeper hold, literally put me to sleep on the floor. Whoa. Yeah, on accident. Well, it wasn't an accident for him. I didn't know it was going to happen. So he's telling me all about Ong Bak, and I'm like, okay, this guy's the real deal. Fucking put me to sleep.
Yeah.
He knows his stuff. I'm going to watch Ong Bak. And it's a really cool movie, and it's like he's from a small village, and the plot of that one is some people break into the village and they steal their like giant Buddha statue that they worship in their village, and it's in Thailand. In this one, essentially, Dev Patel's character is out for revenge against the Indian government, which bulldozed his like ancestral village.
Yeah, Holy Land.
Holy Land, yeah, which is basically like just a small village in the jungle. So it's like a little RRR because they have that like grassroots sort of like folk hero aspect to it. But he's not known. He's essentially channeling the idea of this like
This lore
of a monkey man who is he had superpowers imbued on him from the gods, and he jumped up to the high canopy of the forest to eat a mango, but he grabbed the sun and ate the sun, and the gods punished him by taking away his powers. And that was a story that his mom read to him as a kid. And then flash forward, he's an adult, and you don't know why, but essentially you find out he's getting retribution for the Indian government taking over his land and killing his people.
And it's not super clear as if like he was out for blood this whole time, or is it just like he kind of stumbled upon
An opportunity.
an opportunity to do it. Because there's that whole scene where they steal the purse and then he ends up with it, and then
I think it's always been his driving factor to get to that point.
yeah,
But
because he's just been like in a like to make money. He just is like the fall guy in a underground boxing or like fighting matches.
yeah, and the first time before I saw it, I watched half of the trailer and was like, all right, I'm in. I'm not going to finish it.
Yeah.
And you see a picture of him with this monkey head, and I thought it was like a superhero. He turns into a monkey.
That's what I thought too. I saw that image,
and
I
it
was
turns
like,
out it's just a rubber mask. He wears it like a luchador. And in his boxing match, right, he's the monkey man, and he's fighting against like the cobra,
and he's like the villain.
Yeah, he's kind of like this villain, and he's great character played by the ringmaster,
Charlton Copley,
played by Charlton Copley, and he's great in everything, but he's particularly fantastic in this. This is grimy, seedy sort of like a underground boxing like magnate, and I think I agree with you, Joseph. I think that as a directorial debut, it's very good. The direction of the action was good. When the action's happening and the fighting is happening, it was very easy to follow, and it was very fun and energetic the way it was shot. But
kind of I felt kind of bored sometimes.
yeah, there was some long lulls where you're like, okay, I could use for a little something, a little zhuzh to get me to the next big set piece.
Was it like story beats that were like fights that were boring?
No, the fights were never boring.
The action sequences were cool. Sometimes it kind of felt choreographed. Like you could I feel like I could
fight
like I could see the choreography a little bit.
Oh, I see.
Like they're doing things that you would see you've seen in other movies. Like they take a tray and then like they hit it to the guy's throat. And there was a little bit of lacking in sound design.
I agree with that too.
I didn't feel like the punches or the hits super well.
Sound design is huge
for fight scenes.
Yeah.
And there were some sequences that we did because we did an action.
I was gonna say you shot like an action scene. So like, do you have any perspective on that? Because like that was a challenge and a half.
They felt
you were there too, Pete.
Yeah. They felt
I was
like
Gumper.
Honestly, it like reminded me of like shooting that.
Yeah.
There were some scenes I was like, oh, we kind of did that, like camera following around and like kind of doing like a one take type thing.
Yeah.
Which is not like an uncommon thing to do in like these kinds of movies, but it felt because it's more. I don't want to say it's an indie movie. I mean, it's Monkey Paw, which is Jordan Peele's company.
Yeah.
But it had that indie vibe to it in terms of like shooting these action sequences, and but yeah, it was just it lulled a little bit too much.
I see.
Definitely in the beginning, it took a second to get going, and then it kind of when he ends up in that like I don't want to say it's a monastery, but it's like a church or something where he's being healed.
Yeah.
It was like I was like, I was like, okay,
So-
let's get to the next part.
Yeah, you're shown in flashback the trauma that he's basically in very small segments about the trauma that he's experienced in his past life, and his mother's basically the crux of it all. You assume that she's been killed. You see the whole event start to finish, a short narrative when he's gets beat up really bad, and the whole point of it is he's trying to go and infiltrate this tower. This almost imagine like Arkham City, where all the bad guys hang out and all the crooked politicians are too. Those sort of club, but it's a tower.
You have to go up and to get promoted to a waiter to then be allowed to go into the sex club part of the.
Yeah, and then you have to be able to get into the VIP club above the sex club, and then only the thumbprint of like the queen bee gets you to the penthouse.
Yeah.
So it was like a video game, also like the Raid, also like Ong Bak 2, which is another tower ascent.
Dread as
Yeah,
well.
Dread.
Yeah.
And you know that he's trying to get up to the top because the chief of police is supposedly the big bad that killed his mom. But you see the whole story when he's beaten the first time. He almost gets to the top, he's beaten, and he goes to revive himself at this monastery or whatever. And he trains there. And that part was a little unbelievable just because no one there is training him. He's just basically punching a punching bag, which is basically a bag of rice, for days on end.
It feels like the passage of time is like months or something.
Yeah.
Because like
Because he super yoked after
he
that.
inhales the spice. He becomes the Duke of Arrakis, and then and then he's training and with the guy with the percussion instruments.
I
and
like
they're
that.
like doing like a Guitar Hero thing where he's like it becomes a rhythm game.
It was similar to that scene in Hero when they have the flat guitar player and they're visualizing their fight.
Yeah. So I imagine it's like months because like all of a sudden he's just like he becomes really confident and better at fighting.
Yeah, he goes back to his boxing match and one punches or one kicks the guy, beats him, turns into Brad Pitt from Lock, Stock, Snatch.
After that, the kitchen when he walks into that kitchen fight scene was really well done. Like that was like probably like one of the better fight sequences in the whole thing. It was funny when it's like there's a fight scene in a kitchen, like that, like a restaurant kitchen. Because
I feel like that's a subgenre, kitchen fight scenes.
Kitchen fight scenes,
I'll
like
have to make a
like
compilation.
Tenet has one. This one has one. It's because there's all these instruments around you that you can use, like pans and the microwave lid and the door and everything.
And very rarely does knives get involved in kitchen fight scenes for some reason.
No,
like commercial kitchens.
Oh, also elevator fight scene that was great.
Yep, that was good.
With the knives.
So
of knives.
yeah, a lot of really good fight sequence, and it's not a bad movie by any stretch. I don't think it's a bad movie. I don't think it's a fantastic movie. I think it's very good. I'm bordering 3.5, 4 stars. Certain scenes, if you think of it as an action movie and cut out a lot of the slower lulls, it's like a 4-star action movie.
It could have been. It was a little long.
Yeah, it was
cut down like 10,
I was
15
going to
minutes.
ask how long was this?
2 hour 1 minute. 2 hours and 1 minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would have been fine if you maybe there's a few more characters to care about, but it's really just him. And then there's this girl who's like a call girl for the big bads, and he doesn't know her beforehand, but he meets her through, and he's like,
They relate
you
somehow.
really want to do this, blah, blah, blah. I like the bit about the dog because you're like, oh, is he just showing that he's a nice guy feeding this stray dog?
Yeah.
And then he uses the dog as a tool later, which I won't say because it's a pretty good reveal. But yeah, for a first directorial feature, I thought it was great.
He wrote
fantastic.
it too, right?
Story only.
I think so.
Story.
yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, he was accredited for the story. The writers for it was John Coley, who I don't recognize the name. He was Master and Commander, Boy Swallows Universe, Hotel Mumbai, and then Paul Angunawella, and he did nothing that I've heard of before.
But yeah, Dev Patel, because he directed and starred in it, and he suffered
A lot of
on
injuries.
this movie.
Oh, really?
He broke his hand.
Oh, shit.
And his toes, shooting these scenes. So it was a lot of literal blood, sweat and tears went to this, and it's definitely like you can tell. I feel like that he like cared a lot about the project
sure.
and like really wanted to do this. So
I'll say
I'm glad that
settings were great too.
I'm glad that there was not many people in my theater.
No,
when I saw it.
I admittedly did a very late showing. I did 11 p.m. showing last night, and it was one person in the theater with me.
Oh wow.
So it was literally me and one other guy in this whole theater. It was great.
And this was like It was at a much later showing, but it was screening at like the bigger theater or the bigger screen at the theater in Sacramento. Not like IMAX level, but like better sound, better quality, like slightly better than standard.
Yeah.
Which I didn't see it because it was just too late.
Andrew Martin in the chat says that if he saw it in a Dolby Atmos, it probably would have fixed that audio kind of longing, because Dolby Atmos, he said he still felt the punch of the. Which I saw Dune 2 in Atmos first. I think probably the first movie I've seen in Atmos, and goddamn, that sound was percussive.
Yeah,
I could feel it in my guts.
Loosen the kidney stone.
Grade on Monkey Man?
Probably like a B plus.
I'll probably right around there.
Yeah,
I'm anywhere between a 3.5 and a 4 star. I'll watch it again at home when it's at my home theater, so I can control the volume a little bit.
Has you had this experience recently where you're in a theater and they just don't turn the lights off all the way?
Yes, I've had that.
It's like the lights is still on. I can tell that it's on.
My big pet peeve is the green exit signs.
Yeah.
If you sit too far back and you have this green exit signs on either side of you just glaring, I'm like, can you put a cheesecloth over those or something? Just like,
Yeah.
Mine is when the theater next door starts rumbling your.
Oh, really?
theater. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get that very. That's funny. I
Yeah,
don't
Oh,
know.
really?
Yeah.
I've like zone of interest that happened for me. Like just hearing, I forget what it was. I think they were like redoing Oppenheimer because it was nominated.
Yeah.
And it was just fucking up that theater.
Wow.
You know?
I can imagine. But yeah, that's what happened to me recently. I'm in the theater and like the lights are like half dimmed. And I'm like, I feel like I'm just in my house with the lights on. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's annoying.
I don't feel immersed.
I agree.
All right, so Monkey Man, I would say it's probably a good one to see in theater if you're on the fence. Just for the supportive feature of go show Dev Patel some love, because the dude's a G and doing a directorial debut. Give it some money. See if we can make another one.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I saw myself. Joseph did not see this. Javier, did you see The First Omen?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Have you seen the actual First Omen back in the 70s or whatever?
No, I haven't
Okay.
seen any of them.
So I've watched the original Omen. I've watched the remake Omen, which was released on June 6th, 2006.
I remember this
Yeah.
666,
Yeah,
right?
it was Liev Schreiber and Julia Stiles, I think. I think those are the two leads.
Julia Gouli.
Yeah. And the First Omen was legitimately great and creepy and scary and stuff like that. More creepy than scary. The second one, the remake, was more or less like not a quite shot-for-shot remake, but a very straight ahead, true to the original remake. And it's about, the originals were a couple who lose their child at birth, and then they are given a child from the church, and they basically raise it as their own child, and it's Damien. And lo and behold, it's the son of Satan.
Yeah.
Son of Satan.
Yeah, son of Satan.
You're a what? Who? The son of Satan?
Yeah. So, yeah, big oof. I get the son of Satan is my new adopted child. So this is a prequel to that. So this is set in the 70s in Rome. And you're following Sister Margaret, who's a young wannabe nun, would-be nun, who's about there to take her final vows to get into the nunhood or whatever they call it. And she basically goes into this convent, which is essentially it's an orphanage. And she was born in an orphanage. She was raised in an orphanage in America. And then the father that was at that orphanage is now overseeing this orphanage in Italy, who's played by Bill Nighy, which is great. He was great in this. And a very small role for him, but he plucks her up and says, hey, how about you take your vows in Italy? It's great. It's in Rome. It's beautiful. You can have me here, like your father figure. And this is what a better place, you know? And she goes there, and it's another orphanage, and it's all these old nuns, and it's a lot of crossover with Immaculate.
When you said Italy, I was
Very similar, very similar, except for this one actually is a period piece, where the other one just feels like a period piece. So she goes there, and instead of taking care of old people like in Immaculate, they're taking care of young children, young girls. And there is one particularly disturbed girl there, Clarita, I think.
There
her
always
name
is.
Yeah,
There's always one.
and they're like, "Oh, why is she in the room by herself in the middle of the day? And she's drawing these dark drawings with a black crayon on the ground and stuff." And you're like, "Oh, she's the one." And there's this Ralph Ineson plays a pastor from like the Catholic, or maybe not the Catholic Church, maybe from a different denomination, because he's not part of this group. He's like a different group. And he comes up out of nowhere, and he is playing a direct version of the main pastor character from the original Omen.
Oh, I see.
And the casting is fucking phenomenal, because if you see the two side by side, they look great.
Yeah.
But no one sounds like Ralph Ineson. So his sultry, gurgling low voice is so satisfying. And he's basically trying to tell her, you got to watch out for this girl. She's bad stuff. You know, you're in danger. And all the stuff from the original Omen, I feel like they upped a level. So there's the classic scene where they're at the birthday party at this rich people's house, and the housekeeper says, "It's all for you, Damien." And then
she hangs themselves.
Yeah.
she jumps off of like the second or third story with a noose around her neck.
Okay, so I have seen the original.
Yeah. Chokes herself and then swings through and smashes through the lower level glass.
Yeah. And
all the children see it. Damien's just staring up at her and stuff. And everyone.
So this is a remake.
No, this is a prequel to that.
Pre-requel?
I think it's just a straight prequel.
Prequel.
Yeah.
Okay. So someone else does that?
So one of the nuns in this, fast forward 30 seconds, and if you don't want any spoilers, 100%. But no, one of the nuns does that, except for she lights herself on fire first. So she's up there and she goes, "It's all for you," and then lights herself on fire, and then she's screaming to death and jumps off and smashes through the lower story window.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
And you're like, damn, it's like, and then she's just hanging there on fire, nun on fire, and you're like, damn, nun's on fire.
This nun is on fire.
Yeah, exactly. And then that weird Alicia Keys song, music sting.
I love that. They're like, what are we going to do? The original did this. Let's set her on fire.
Let's set her on fire.
Yeah.
This bitch is going to be on fire. Yeah.
man.
And there's a pretty good use of practical effects in this. There's, because the idea is that Lucifer has spawned with a human and brings their child to the earth. In this is the step before that, because Damien it's a prequel, so I mean it's not like a spoiler. They're creating Damien in this movie so it can be set up for the original Omen.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
Yeah, and at the end of this movie, the baby is given off, and they're like, "We're gonna take," and they show the picture of the original family, and they're like, "Yeah, this is a senator in the United States, and they're gonna have an accident with their baby, quote unquote, and then we're gonna give him this one, and they're gonna raise it up in, as the Antichrist, and his name is Donald J. Trump." And so it all kind of leads to that. You know where it's going. It's a prequel, so it's like watching the Titanic movie. You know what's going to happen, but all the stuff.
You see where it's going to go.
Yeah, you see where it's going to go, but it doesn't matter. And this is fantastically acted by the lead actress. I didn't catch her name. Let me see here if I can get it. It was a completely new one. I'd never heard of her before. First Omen. She is, what is her name? Where is it? Nell
Neil Breen.
Nell Tiger Free.
Wow.
Nell Tiger Free.
Nell Tiger
What a
Free.
powerful name.
A three-part name. Nell Tiger Free. Yeah.
Tiger.
Tiger.
Wow.
Tiger Free. Nell Tiger Free. So she's the main character. She plays Margaret. Ralph Ineson as Father Brennan. Sonia Braga as Sister Silva, who's like another young nun who's about to take her oath. Taufik Boram, who's a young Father Gabriel. Maria Caballero as Luz. I'm sorry, Luz is the young nun. Mm-hmm. And then Charles Dance also is in this as Father Harris. He's another like high up father in this fucked up coven.
Charles Dance, the Last Action Hero villain and Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's 180 degrees, you twit.
I just shot somebody.
And I did it on purpose.
Do you need to? Can you go into this blind, or do you
Yes.
need to watch The Omen?
No, I don't think you need to watch it at all. If you were to watch this first and then watch The Omen, I think you might look back at it and go, okay, The Omen's got a little bit less teeth on it. The other thing too that I really liked about this was that they don't hold back on the grotesque. Some grotesque like cut.
okay.
They don't cut away from the grotesque. Like there is a very graphic birthing scene.
Nice.
That does not cut away
Hell.
very much at all, and a very graphic cesarean section scene that does
I'm
not
about
cut
to
away.
have the hardest boner right now.
Yeah, and and it's not a secret. They're trying to mate Lucifer or the Beast with a human.
Yeah.
Oh,
But they do it in a
Matchmaker.
they do it in a very literal sense in this.
like an actual beast.
And there's like this demon claw that comes out a few times in this. Maybe it's a vision, maybe it's not a vision, and you see it, and the look of it is so good. It's like wet and gray and like scaly, and it looks so good.
Sounds good.
It is. It's way better than I thought it was going to be. So the other thing I do like about it too is that there's 70s kind of you think of The Exorcist, that 70s horror vibe. There's a lot of like wide shots where characters are kind of walking into frame.
Oh,
and
so
then
they
it
went the
sets up.
holdovers route and they just emulate the 70s.
There is a little bit of that, yeah, because the in the first Omen, not the first. This is called the first Omen. This is really confusing. In the original Omen,
There you go.
yeah, the original Omen, there's a number of like accidents that happen around people around Damien, and things fall off of construction sites and towers, and people get killed in spectacular fashion, and they emulate those, not just the setup but also the look of the shot. It's hard to explain, but when you look at it, you're like, oh, that's a 70s shot.
Yeah.
Wide zoom ins on like parts.
70s cinema.
Yeah, so it had a good like reverence for the original format, I think. So all that being said, I thought it was pretty great. I think that Immaculate and this are, to me, on the same level. They're both 4-star movies, but in very different ways. Immaculate's more of a moody, creepy tone sort of movie with just a really fantastic setting and lighting, where this one has a little bit more in-your-face sort of shock stuff.
Well, it's more paranormal, and because you have demons in this world as opposed to Immaculate, where it's just like,
yeah, and in Immaculate, you're looking for the payoff shot at the end, and you don't quite get it. In this one, they don't hold back. I'll just put it that way. So that's the first Omen. I give it an A. Yeah, it's an A, maybe an A minus, because there's some slow parts in there where you're kind of waiting for something to happen, and you're like, okay, I don't care about this human character or storyline. But then it does come back, and then the setup for it is, I think, probably A minus because of the predictability of it, because there's a number of things where you're like, oh, is this going to happen? Well, of course it's going to happen. And it takes a little bit too long to get to that inevitability in the story and the plot. So
right.
What would you rate the Omen?
The original Omen, probably B+.
Nice.
It's been a long time since I've seen it B+. Some of the older movies don't really land with me, but yeah, pretty damn solid. And Andrew says he's 4 out of 5 also with
Monkey Man.
the first Omen.
No, Monkey Man.
Oh, with Monkey Man?
I'm pretty sure. He started talking about it.
Okay, cool.
That came up when you were talking about it.
He says the hip-hop witch is in the first Omen. She's the one that gave birth to the witch. Speaking of which,
Speaking of The Witch,
let's get to some streaming picks.
Movies.
Wanna watch a movie?
Yes, I do. Disney Plus. Oh, HBO Max.
If I don't get the pick, show's over.
I have grown accustomed to Hulu Plus.
Amazon Prime. I like Netflix.
You found the
Streaming picks, movies that we watched on our streaming services this week that you can too. Javier, you got streaming picks for us?
I sure do.
Great.
So this is a movie that I tried watching when I was younger. That didn't stick with me. That I rewatched as an adult, and I don't know. I'm able to appreciate it a lot more. And that's Good Will Hunting on on just Max.
On Max now, yeah.
Max. Yeah. I think the first time I tried watching it, I was in my early 20s, and it didn't stick with me. I think I just wasn't mature enough for it, honestly. I was like, oh, this handsome looking dude who's fucking smart, who wrote himself to be a really smart character,
yeah.
and they're sad.
Yeah.
Like it didn't really click for me. And I think just living life a little bit more and kind of understanding what the story's actually about. And it's not this person who's just really, really smart. It's someone who's gifted, and kind of being on this path of people forcing them to go somewhere maybe they don't want to go. And yeah, I thought it was a fucking great movie with great performances.
That's so funny you say that. That was going to be my next Wheel movie.
Oh yeah,
Oh, really?
I have a Wheel
I haven't
movie
seen it,
list.
so-
Oh, okay.
Well, you haven't seen Good Will Hunting?
It's going on the wheel. So
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
I've only seen it via Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
That's right. You know
They're
what?
making the sequel.
Like real talk. Like the minute, like because they basically like it's a parodied scene. I was like, dude,
Yeah.
this is so fucking
With Ben Affleck and Matt Damon.
yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, it's really really good. aside from that, so that's on Max.
Great, awesome.
As I mentioned, Akira Toriyama passed away, so I've been watching some Dragon Ball again.
Rest in peace.
So there's actually on the flight over, I watched the Broly movie because it's the plane ride over.
Dragon Ball Super Broly.
Yeah, the one that you guys watched for the show. Just the
surprised the hell out of me. I was not expecting to enjoy it as much as I did.
Laser.
Yeah.
A stray laser killed your father.
yeah, I think it's so much fun, and just like when the action starts, it does not stop, and really, really enjoyable. On top of that, they have Dragon Ball Super : Superhero.
Dragon Ball Superhero. Okay.
Yeah. Which that one's not as good, but it's really enjoyable. If you like Dragon Ball Z, specifically the Cell Saga, this will likely speak to you a little bit. So, yeah, those are the 3 movies that I watched.
Nice. Where are the 2 Dragon Ball streaming again?
Funimation.
Funimation. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay.
Funimation.
Great. Joseph, you have real streaming picks, and then you join me with some punishments.
Oh, I joined you with one of them.
Let's do the end.
Okay. Okay, so I have an interesting mix of stream picks. So I watched this movie called streaming on Tubi and Peacock and Pluto, and it's starring Ralphie from Christmas Story.
Oh, Peter Billingsley.
Mm-hmm. And this is made after Christmas Story. This is called The Dirt Bike Kid. And it's essentially Herbie, like Herbie Fully Loaded.
Okay.
We have a sentient dirt bike.
Oh, sweet.
That befriends Ralphie. I don't know his actual name, his character's name.
I'll look it up for you. Dirt Bike Kid.
Dirt Bike Kid. And it's and there's no real explanation as to why this dirt bike is sentient, other than this random old man who shows up at the beginning and the end of the movie and explains to some other random kid how special the bike is.
That's at the end?
No, it's at the beginning and end. So
Okay.
like when the bike is introduced, and at the end when everyone's like celebrating that they saved the hot dog stand.
Okay. What? All right.
This old man shows up to talk to this other random kid who's like, man, I wish I had a dirt bike like that. And he's like, well, that's a very special dirt bike, son. made for someone very special. And like that's the only context you're given for the dirt bike itself.
Okay.
Was there any context in Herbie?
I don't know. I've only seen Fully Loaded with Lindsay Lohan.
It was the hip hop witch.
Oh, yeah, it was the witch.
Curse the slug bug.
She's been around for centuries.
Yeah.
It's mostly fun, but it gets kind of boring to watch towards the end. You're kind of just like, okay, I get it now. Let's end this. And the plot is there's this bank in town run by this. It's a local bank, and this guy wants to take over the location of the hot dog stand so he can build his next bank.
So there really is a hot dog
It's
stand.
a hot dog stand. It's called like Hot Dog Mike's or the Dog House or something like that.
Okay.
I can't remember. And it's like this. The logo is like this extra long like wiener dog sitting in a bun with mustard on the back of the wiener dog.
Okay.
Like that premise is hilarious to me. It's like we gotta save the hot dog stand. Where are we gonna hang out? We can't go anywhere else and hang out. It has to be at the hot dog stand.
We just want us to go to Golden Corral and hang out.
Yeah. I don't even know if that exists in this universe. I don't.
That's where the kids in my hometown would hang out. The Golden Corral.
Golden Corral,
which Brianna says sounds like a strip club.
It really does. Yeah.
$2 gentleman special at the Golden Corral every Wednesdays and Thursdays.
And so Ralphie is living with his mom, who's a single mom, and
Ralphie.
she has $0. She gives him her last $50 bill to go buy groceries.
Okay.
And he comes back with the bike.
Oh my God.
And she's
Dumb
like,
and Dumber all over again.
She's like, what are the groceries? That was my last $50. I'm like, you have $0? You have $0 at this point.
Yeah.
And they live in this like 2-story house, and they have a separate garage. He's got a almost like a tree house type thing. He climbs down from his window.
Fresh sneakers
and
New Era hat.
I'm like, there's a lot of stuff you could sell here that you could get some money if you're that desperate for money. But the evil banker wants to take over the hot dog location to build his bank, and
I'm confused.
there's like a money thing involved, obviously, where he's like, if I do this, the board that I'm trying to pitch this to will give me like $15 million or something like that.
Okay.
Is this a hot dog stand or a hot dog like?
It's like a restaurant.
Okay,
Yeah.
I was expecting like a guy with like
a hot dog cart.
No, it's like a restaurant.
They're all like hanging out by this guy's car.
Yeah.
Where we gonna hang out?
Yeah, and the coach of the baseball team that Ralphie is on is the owner. He's Mike or whatever his name is.
Mike, you got it right.
He owns the hot dog
His
stand.
character is Jack. Jack, by the way, not Ralphie.
Oh, Jack. Okay. But yeah, the end is like totally like kids movie. It's definitely like geared to kids.
What was your deciding factor for this movie to watch it?
The name
Okay.
and the fact that Ralphie was in it?
You're like, oh, it's the prequel to Turbo Kids.
Because
Sweet.
I've never seen, other than the sequel to Christmas Story, the newer one.
Yeah.
The only other movie I've seen him in is Christmas Story.
Have you seen Elf?
But he's not really in that.
He's in it.
Yeah, he's in it, but he's not in it.
He's in Spider-Man 2. No,
Is he?
MCU Spider-Man 2.
Well, who is he in Spider-Man 2? He's Spider-Man 2.
Well, he's also in Iron Man 1. He's the guy who's like, we can't do it. And then, what's his name? Jeff Bridges like, Tony Stark did this in a cave. And
Oh, is that him?
yeah, Ralphie says, I'm not Tony Stark. What do you want me to do about it?
Are you sure that's him? Really?
That's it. Look it
Oh,
up.
wow,
It's
interesting.
him. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Look it up.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, now I know. I have seen more movies with him. But this is starring him. This is starring Ralphie.
Starring the Peter Billingsley.
Yeah. So that's streaming on Peacock. It's an afternoon movie or midday movie for sure on a Sunday maybe.
Folding your socks time movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a silly time and the end is silly as well.
All right.
It's ridiculous ending. Whatever. The next movie I watched streaming on Hulu is a horror thriller mystery movie called I'm Just Fucking With You.
Never heard of that.
It's very indie. And basically it's about this guy who's on his way to a wedding and he stops by this motel to stay a night or a couple nights before going to the wedding. And this all takes place over one night. And the guy who's running the hotel, he's like this taller, it reminds me of TJ Miller a little bit in terms of his appearance.
Okay.
But he's taller, like a little bit more like kind of husky.
All right.
And he's got like these aviator like prescription glasses on, so he kind of has like a Dahmer-esque look to him.
Okay, he's got the big rapist glasses.
But he's like
Okay.
the whole time he's like telling jokes that are like you're not sure if he's joking or not. He just
And he says his catchphrase, "I'm just fucking with you."
that's where the movie comes from. The name
really?
comes from, and the pranks or the jokes just keep getting more and more questionable. So like, what are his intentions? Is he like he's like kind of creepy? That's like his vibe, but you're like still with the main character. He's like, I don't know, this guy's like kind of sus. And then it gets kind of crazy towards the end. And it's a good time. It's like a short.
You said
fun watch.
what's the genre again?
It's like an indie thriller.
Indie thriller. Okay.
This sounds like a I think you should leave skit.
Yeah, kind of, I guess, but it's taken a little bit more seriously than Tim Robinson.
Yeah.
Hey, before you move on, Heather Sachs says the name of the hot dog place is called the Dog House.
Yeah.
She says, I can't believe I remember that. Also, there's a pie fight.
Yeah, there's a food fight, and then there's someone like the banker gets a pie in his face at the end. Yeah,
Dude,
Heather's mind is like an Encyclopedia Britannica of old movies.
yeah.
I love it.
But yeah, the whole movie for I'm Just Fucking With You is like you're waiting for the moment where these people get pushed over to the edge, and like when's violence gonna start at a certain point.
Sounds kind of like All My Friends Hate Me, which is a weird psychological thing about gaslighting
Oh.
or maybe social anxiety. I don't know.
Yeah,
Hard to tell.
There's a prank he does where the main character's showering and he's like traveling alone, and the guy comes into his motel room, knocks on the bathroom door, and is like, "Hey man," he has like this obscure problem, like oh, the door's stuck, I can't get the door open. And he's like, just push it, just on your side, just push it. And the guy's like, no, I know what you're gonna do. You're just gonna open it. I'm gonna push as hard as I can. You're just gonna open it.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I know. Like I've been playing pranks on you, but seriously, like you just gotta push as hard as you can. Just and he's like, okay, I'll do it. And then he does it, and then he like falls and like hits his head on the ground, and then
Dies.
Yeah,
He goes into a seizure.
yeah.
He's like, you fucking idiot. You fell for it.
But yeah, and then like at that point, that's when things start to get a little bit more elevated.
I love door humor, like in Hateful Eight. And they're constantly like, this door's a real son of a bitch.
Yeah. But yeah, it's worth a watch, I think. I'm Just Fucking With You, streaming on Hulu.
All right, cool. Awesome.
I watched EO.
Oh,
EO. The donkey
movie.
Donkey movie. Streaming on Max now. And this was
That's cool. It's on Max.
very well made movie. Very shot really well. And it's Polish, I believe.
Yeah. That director's kind of known for very artistic visage.
It kind of the style of filmmaking reminded me of that witch movie we watched with Numi Rapaz.
Oh, Rapaz.
You Won't Be Alone.
You Won't Be Alone.
Yeah.
The hip hop witch.
Yeah, the hip hop witch. Reminded me of that a lot. Actually,
It's everywhere.
Essentially, it's like you're following this donkey who was in. It's a reverse Dumbo situation where the donkey's already in the circus, and then he escapes from the circus and separates from his owner, handler, or whatever, and she gets sad. She's not really in the movie that much, but he goes on his little adventures. He ends up at different farms and different rescues, and he's like lost in nature, wandering on the road, and you're just kind of watching from his perspective things happening in front of him, like encountering good people and bad people. It's a stream of what I wrote on Letterboxd: stream of donkey consciousness, tree of life for donkeys. Reverse Dumbo, Milo and Otis without the real life murder of pugs and cats. And I was really not sure about the ending because I wasn't sure if it was supposed to make me feel good or bad.
I felt bad.
Because
I felt bad.
Yeah, it's definitely like not great, like the best situation to be in. Because they talk about like donkey salami at some point in the movie.
Yeah.
And I was like, donkey salami, that's weird.
My one criticism for this movie was not enough donkey.
Yeah,
I wanted more. There's a lot of donkey. Wanted more.
There's a lot, and there's a point where you're introduced to characters, and then the donkey's not even there, and they're talking about problems in their family, and I'm like, I don't care about
Who the
this.
fuck are these people? Get out of here. Show me the donkey.
I don't care about these.
I want to see EO.
Yeah, what's he doing?
Yeah. Whenever a donkey's off screen, everybody should be saying, "Where's the donkey?"
Yeah, where's the donkey? Is he safe?
Like Poochie from The Simpsons.
When he gets when he ends up at that soccer match, and then like they go to the celebration afterwards, and there's that raid.
That was
from
awesome. Yeah.
And then
I liked it.
But then they beat Donkey. They beat EO.
Yeah, that was not awesome.
That was. I was like, what are you talking about?
No, I was thinking the point when he becomes like their unofficial mascot. It was like when drunk people find a traffic cone, and then for whatever reason you're like, "Where'd that traffic cone come from?" Like, we found it the other day when we were out partying.
Yeah.
And you're like, "Where's this? Why is this donkey here?" Oh, he brought us good luck at the soccer match, so we brought him home with us.
Yeah.
It's like, I guess we have a donkey now.
I caught up with The Autopsy of Jane Doe, streaming on Netflix, Hulu, and Shudder.
Yeah.
And it's pretty much a chamber piece. And what boggled my mind more about this movie was that Brian Cox and Emil Hirsch
I know.
were in this
Out of nowhere.
It seems like a lower budget horror movie, but them together, they play a father and son, like morticians, in like a family owned morgue.
It's like the local morgue.
But the practical effects in this look really good, and it's very eerie, very much an eerie setting, as they do the autopsy of this Jane Doe, who is seemingly like she's freshly dead, although she has no signs of like trauma, bruising, or anything like that. Like she looks like she was just killed. And then they start learning more and more things about this person, this unknown person. And
how did she die?
And there's a reveal, and they're like this is literally impossible. How would this happen?
Yeah.
And then the reveal happens later in the movie, and literally starting to unwrap things. And this is definitely a good movie to watch during Halloween. And definitely a good movie to watch when there's a storm or it's raining outside.
It was, it's I was way better than I was expecting.
Yeah, it's good. It's
I'm very interested in this. I've never heard of this one.
Yeah, it's enjoyable. It's a nice short.
Whenever you have a
watch.
name in it, it kind of feels like the possession of Deborah Logan or whatever. You're like, I kind of know what that movie's gonna be like.
The Haunting in Connecticut.
Yeah, it felt like that the whole time, but it's the whole movie is an autopsy, a very mysterious autopsy about this Jane Doe, this unknown woman. And you're like, how could she be dead? There's no marks and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And it gets worse and worse and worse as you go along. And you're thinking, is she this? Is it an alien? Is it a magic or something? And then it gets revealed. It's
And she was found like underneath, like buried underneath like a house or something.
and everyone else is dead except for her.
Yeah.
And well, she's also dead.
I'm already interested in
Where's that streaming?
this.
Yeah. It's on Netflix, Hulu, and Shudder.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Bless you.
And then thank you. This is not streaming anywhere, I don't think. I have the Blu-ray, so I just watched that. I think you can rent it. But I rewatched Les Miserables, Tom Hooper's Les Miserables.
Okay.
And we watched Cats, which is directed by Tom Hooper as well.
Yeah.
And that was bad.
Yeah.
That was really bad.
Objectively.
Like, I forgot about it. That's how bad it was.
Almost as bad as the Hip Hop Witch.
And it's a bad in a different way. It's a different type of bad.
Okay.
Cats is not enjoyable. And I mean, the Hip Hop Witch, I don't know if it's enjoyable, but but so Les Miserables, a movie that Tom Hooper made back in 2012, and I haven't seen it in a while. I really, really love this movie.
You've always loved this movie, though.
But like
even more now.
I don't know about more, but like it just sort of I guess solidified that I still enjoy it.
Yeah.
At the same time, I can see how people would find disdain for it, especially if you're not used to the type of musicals.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of songs, a lot of singing, a lot of musical numbers, and there's no like dancing or anything like that. Like no like it's not like a Broadway type musical. But it's the thoughts in the characters' heads they're just singing out loud, and then they're conversing with each other.
Yeah.
There's actually very little no singing.
Yeah. The dialogue is singing.
There's actually not a lot of just talking in this movie. But aside from that, I mean, the songs are great, and that just comes from the original play or whatever. The performances are really good in this. Hugh Jackman's really good, Anne Hathaway's really good, and everyone fits within their role. And the girl who plays Eponine, who's like she's like the girl that can't get the guy because he is in love with this other girl.
Okay.
And she's like he'll never know me, he'll never know how I feel about him, and he'll never say those words to me. It's a very heartbreaking story. Les Mis, essentially story about love. Basically, what it's about, and love and
Stealing bread.
Love and stealing bread. Yeah. But Russell Crowe gets the brunt of the criticism, I think, for his singing. But he's not that bad. He's really not that bad.
He's just not a singer.
He's not a singer. He's not. I mean, Hugh Jackman has done a lot of Broadway. He's known more recently from doing singing roles. The Greatest Showman is, I think, the most recent thing that he did. That was a musical. But they do live singing in this, so like it's not recorded. They're singing on camera and on set, and they're using that audio, which plays into the acting because they're singing and acting and emoting at the same time, which seems like a task.
It's like an opera.
It's a lot.
I guess that's why opera is so classic.
Yeah.
Like medium or whatever. Like it's impressive for what they're doing. All that shit at the same time.
But aside from like the music part, the music aspect of this, the set design, the set pieces, the wide angle, like handheld shots, the cinematography in this, it like really puts you like right in front of them as they're singing. They're singing like not like to you, but it's like they're like almost looking right at the camera. And the big numbers where there's like lots of people singing, like a lot of the extras, a lot of the crowd, is really well done.
Never seen it. I'll have to watch it.
Some of my favorite parts, it's like songs of heartbreak, anguish, and triumph. But I mean, it's about the French Revolution, and what I find funny about this though is that let's make a story about the French Revolution. Let's make a movie about the French Revolution, and just put the most British people ever in the movie. Let's just like make him Cockney. Let's just
Yeah, sure.
Sacha Baron Cohen plays
great.
a role. He's very topical right now.
Yeah. Breaking news: him and Isla Fisher are broken up now.
Helena
Is that true?
Yeah.
Helena Bonham Carter.
All the men rejoice.
Plays his wife or partner, or whatever. They run the inn. They're the innkeepers. They do the master of the house, keeper of the zoo. Song, and they're just like con artists, basically, very kind of grimy, slimy people. Yeah, I don't really have much negative to say about this movie, other than maybe there are definitely small moments where they could have just talked instead of talked. Because like there's a part where Russell Crowe starts to recognize Jean Valjean because he escaped parole and he has a different look now. But they come face to face again, and Jean Valjean does something that reminds Javier, Russell Crowe's character, who like he's like, you look familiar. You're lifting this cart, and then you did something like that like 15 years ago when you were in prison.
Okay.
And he does this thing where he goes, a memory stirs. You make me think of a man.
That's going on the board
And it's like he's like, that's him thinking
in his head.
singing out loud the thoughts in his
He
brain.
kind of like turns away and like says it to himself, but he's singing out loud.
No, he's not. He just looks right at him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's kind of hard to discern like what are thoughts versus what other people can hear as well. But yeah, it's fantastic. It's a A+ movie.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, and that's not streaming. So
What? All that for not streaming?
yeah, you can rent it. though.
Jesus. Okay.
But yeah, that's it.
Okay. And of course, we have I have a punishment movie.
2 punishment movies.
What have I done?
You've made your bed. Now it's time to sleep in it. Take your medicine. This is the wheel of punishment.
All right. Wheel of Punishment. I lost the Oscar bet. And for that, I was assigned Loquisha. Loquisha is a movie streaming on Tubi and Plex. You can watch right now. Loquisha. Loqueesha.
Loquisha.
Written and directed by Jeremy Saville. He also stars in the movie. And while I was 5 minutes into this movie and I started Googling, is Jeremy Saville a white supremacist? Because the plot of this movie, the tagline says, sometimes you have to become somebody else to find out who you really are. And it's a white man who works at a bar and everybody tells him that he gives really good advice. Within the first 3 minutes of the movie, they're shooting in the interior of a bar and 2 drunks tell him how good of advice he gives, and then some random woman off the street what comes in, a woman of color, which matters later in this review, and she's talking about how hard she has it. I need a hard drink, blah, 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 and he gives her some bullshit advice, and she goes, you know what, you give really good advice. You should do that for a living. And he goes, yeah, maybe I should. And he applies for a radio gig as a talk show host doing like late night advice show, like Loveline or something like that, or Ask Dr. Ruth. And on the listing, it says women and minorities preferred. And he doesn't get the job. He blames racial diversity hires without directly saying it. And then he decides to record a different submission tape as Loquisha, a black woman of color, who is going to be this radio DJ host giving advice. And it's not the most offensive version of like a black stereotype voice I've ever heard, because it doesn't even really sound particularly like a woman or, a black woman.
It's a real Joanna Man situation.
Yeah. But isn't Joanna Man played by a black man?
Yes, it
A
is.
black man is just going to a woman,
Yeah, so you can play in the WNBA.
Yeah. And it's like, it's kind of like reverse white chicks.
Okay.
Except for he doesn't show up in person. He's like,
He's doing black voice.
He's doing black voice. It's like
Sorry to bother you.
reverse.
Yeah,
Sorry to bother
reverse,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. And so he's like, he submits this tape, and it's Loquisha answering all these questions for these people, and he is the fake callers as well. And she's just a sassy black woman who gives a perspective of color to, you know, the hard people of whatever unnamed city that he lives in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a low budget movie, but it has a production value of like a mid budget movie. You know, it doesn't feel like it's shot on a handy cam or something like that. It looks decent.
It's not the hip hop witch.
No, it's not the hip hop witch. But she is in it though. She cursed Loquisha. She may be Loquisha actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it becomes a sensation. Loquisha becomes a sensation, and he goes from a midnight to 3 a.m. slot to like prime time. And the studio it glosses over all of the idea of like, where do you send the money to? Who do you write the fucking check to? Do you just put Loquisha on there? Do they have a last name? Is it like Sade, where you just don't have a last name? Or you give it to Jim, you know, Cunningham or whatever the guy's name is in the movie. And it doesn't talk about any of that stuff, but he basically says, oh, I need to do this show from my home. You know, I need anonymity. Ain't nobody going to be in the studio when I'm recording. And the boss is like, yes, ma'am, you got it, Loquisha. And the reason why he's doing it is because his ex-wife wants to send their mutual child to a private school. It's $13,000 a semester, and he's going to do that doing radio. Oh, the least lucrative of all entertainment that you can do. Like Jimmy Kimmel was Jimmy the sports guy for like 10 years before he made it onto Comedy Central, and it's like you don't make shit as a radio DJ. Not specifically 12 p.m. to 3 a.m. time slot on some bumfuck radio network or whatever that doesn't even do talk radio, because this radio station is converting from, you know, metal at midnight to live with Loquisha. So all the people that are calling in the first couple days are like, is this metal at midnight? I want to request some Def Leppard. And she's like, I don't know about no big cats. Nonetheless, ones that can't hear nothing. You know, you need Jesus. And then hangs up on them, and you're like, what the fuck is this? What is this movie? But yeah, there's a number of like instances in the movie where you're like, okay, now he's gonna realize like that this, like, it's gonna be a clear parody, and there's gonna be some like message learned behind it. But it never gets to that point. So you're kind of at one point he writes the man who wrote and directed this movie and stars in it wrote a scene where a black woman says, okay, I admit it, you're a better black person than I am. From her to him, this white man, because at some point he has to hire a real black woman to be the face of Loquisha.
Oh, okay.
And she does like the press tours, and she does the book signings or whatever. And Loquisha. It doesn't make sense because her voice doesn't sound anything like the voice on the radio, and it's not like people don't. It's like they're in your ears. The entire radio. It's a very specific thing. Hearing a person talk for hours a day, and then you're like, it's like if we were to try to sub out Tyler for someone else and be like, oh yeah, Tyler's still here, and it's just it's Javier, and you're like, hey, it's Pete and Tyler and Joseph, and you're Javier.
Can you do a Tyler impression?
Yeah, I sure can. Hold on. I implore, nay, demand. That's pretty good, right?
Did you watch the movie?
Spot on.
Yeah.
My streaming picks are Raiders of the Lost Ark, Lost Boys, and
pretty good. It's like I'm sitting across the room from you right now.
I took a day off to watch this movie.
Is that you?
Yeah, Tyler.
Hey, look at me. This is normal.
So they sub her out, and then near the end of the movie, he starts getting taken over by Loquisha. The personality of Loquisha in his head is like coming out. And the young, attractive black woman that he gives the drink to at the very beginning of the movie comes back to him at the end, is like, I've been listening to this Loquisha, and she reminds me a lot of you. And that's it. She never is like, are you doing this? Are you trying to fake this or whatever?
Is it you?
Yeah, never. She never like is like, that sounds like a white guy doing a black woman's voice. None of that. And then she comes on to him, and it's like the most attractive person on either side of the gender spectrum of the entire movie. She's clearly like a 9, and everyone else in the movie is just regular looking people. And she's like clearly a smoke show, and she settles for this fucking
schlub.
Yeah, like dollar store Adam Sandler, which is a kind of funny Adam Sandler trope to begin with.
Okay. It looks like well produced. Like,
yeah, it does.
It doesn't look low quality.
Yeah, it's almost like the face.
Well, maybe not that, but
it's the faith-based movie of comedies.
Oh, okay.
It's like,
that's really good.
Imagine that.
Yeah.
Because you start watching it and you're like, what is this? What was the guy's what was he thinking?
Sorry, like I don't know what to say.
What was the goal here with Loquisha? Was it to be like, you know, like there's racial diversity hires are bad because that's kind of where it goes near the beginning, or is it that, you know, it doesn't matter, it shouldn't be matter if it's a black woman or a white man who's saying the message, it's all the same? Because at the end, spoiler alert, he comes clean, and then they put it out there on the radio. They're like, okay, do I continue Loquisha? I'm going to come clean to the listeners. Do I continue Loquisha? Do I continue the show exactly the same, but it's Jim, it's me, Jim? Or do you banish me to exile, radio exile? And all his friends and family are some people like are high-fiving him for being Loquisha. Some people hate him for being Loquisha. And at the end, you really don't learn fucking anything of it. You're just like...
Does he learn anything?
No.
He learns not to do black voice?
No, he doesn't. He does not learn that. And like he learns a little bit from like his son.
He's like,
Don't worry about me. I'm not racist.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't know. It was not good.
On a scale of 1 to 5, how punished are you?
what, 1 being most punished or 5?
Least punished.
Oh, 5 being most punished.
Most punished.
Well, I'll just give you this. The rating for the movie, I probably give it a 1 and maybe 1.5 stars. There's like the production quality gives it a 0.5 star because it wasn't terrible to look at. It just looked like kind of like almost like 90s sitcom. You know how Fuller House came back? Full House got revived as Fuller House, and it's a way more polished look of a sitcom. It looked like that. And the intro, surprisingly, looks like Full House intro.
Oh, okay.
With the music and everything, flying over San Francisco and everything, or maybe it's New York. I don't know.
It's got a 1.6 out of 10 on IMDb.
Yeah, I'd say it's about 1.5-ish, something like that. Well, I guess that's double. 1.6 would be because it's out of 10.
Yeah.
So it's like 3.2?
Huh?
Something like that, 3.2?
I don't know.
Yeah, 3.2.
You're 3.2 out of 5?
No, out of 10.
Oh, okay.
No. I'm probably get a 1 star, maybe something like that. Because there were some funny parts to it too. Like the writing is bad, but every once in a while he cracks a joke that you're like, okay, that's pretty funny.
Okay, you got me.
Yeah, you got me, you racist son of a bitch. Yeah. So yeah, don't watch Loquisha. Waste of your time.
Oh, okay.
Absolute waste of your time.
You
Don't
did a
watch
good
it.
job selling me, though.
Andrew is like saying you're making him want to watch it.
Don't watch it. Don't watch it. So that was my first punishment
Just watch
movie.
the Hip Hop Witch again.
I did not watch Loquisha when I was supposed to. I actually put it off for 2 weeks. I told on myself on the show.
Now you got to watch it twice.
Yeah. So we spun the wheel of punishment a second time, and
It finally landed.
The Hip Hop Witch was my second punishment movie. And
it's taken over.
It's taken over. It's like a freaking... It's like a plague that's plagued the Cinematics Facebook group, and it's even bled into Twitter. So
it's like the Bye Bye Man. Don't say it, don't think it.
Don't think it, don't say it. DHHW. Yeah, the Hip Hop Witch. So this is released in the year 2000.
Pre 9/11.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
Pre 9/11.
Before we lost our innocence.
Yeah. And this
couldn't be made post 9/11.
Yeah, no.
No way.
We've came so far since then. This is directed by Dale Resteghini. And if you look at his like credits now, he's pretty much does almost nothing but music videos. Mm-hmm. And it's credited as like the production company. It's a production company / record label that produced it. So in the opening credits, it's saying it's like from, hip hop arts, movies, and record label or something like that.
From Death Row Records comes the Hip Hop Witch.
And I'll give you like, there's a number of famous rappers and a number of non-famous rappers. And there was a great list that I saw on the Wikipedia. Let me pull it up here real quick.
The Hip Hop Witch Wikipedia?
Yeah, it's the Hip Hoppedia.
The Hip Hop Wikipedia.
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 Oh, that's hip hop music Wikipedia. Let's see.
Hip hop. Starting in the early 1800s.
While you're looking that up, just not to pull the curtain back too much, when you were talking about Loquisha, Joseph was looking it up, but he had Danny Villeneuve up, so I was like, this is the guy.
This is the dude. It's him.
He made it before he got big.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the cast. We have Dale Resteghini as Will Hunting.
Wow.
From Goodwill Hunting. His name is Will Hunting in this, yeah. And this is supposed to be a parody of Blair Witch, but
I figured that out like third way through the movie.
Yeah, there's only like a few small bits that kind of feel that way. Stacey J. Johnson is Dee Dee Washington.
Where's LaQuisha streaming?
LaQuisha's on Tubi and Plex. And The Hip Hop Witch is actually streaming on Amazon Prime.
Wow. And Tubi, I think.
And Tubi as well, yeah. So there's a bunch of people that playing other characters, but then playing themselves. Eminem, Pros, Vanilla Ice, Ja Rule, Raw Digga, Vitamin C, Charlie Baltimore, Spliff Star, Killa Priest, Mia Tyler, Royce to 5'9", Outsiders, Severe, Mobb Deep, Chris Simmons, Decella Dwellas, Made Men, Professor X, Rock, Afu Ra, Lidu Rock, and Rhythm Trip, all playing themselves. And you have basically two components to this movie. You have like a group of like 5 stoner white friends that live in the suburb of Salem, Massachusetts. And they physically say in the movie, Salem, you know, where witches are from.
Yeah.
And they're essentially trying to learn about the lore of the hip hop witch, just like the Blair Witch Project. But they're only in it for like maybe 15 minutes.
The kids? The 5 kids?
The 5 fucking loser looking dopes.
Yeah.
It's like one guy's Shaggy, like a white guy with dreads.
Yeah.
There's a guy that looks
I think
like...
his name is Shaggy.
It is, yeah. He plays Shaggy. They have a guy who looks like Ali G. He's got like the goggles and stupid like puffy jacket and like beanie cap and stuff like that.
Yeah.
They're only on screen for maybe like 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes of the hour and a half runtime on this piece of shit.
Yeah, and that's in the synopsis too. 5 white kids get lost in the hood.
Yeah.
Looking for the hip hop witch.
We were looking for the hip hop witch. We ended up finding ourselves.
Yeah.
Maybe the hip hop witch was the friends we made along the way.
That's right. Absolutely. Have you guys seen that clip from it's in Detroit and it's a news story about the leprechaun in the tree?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wait, was that real?
Anybody seen the leprechaun say, yeah, yeah? And all the people are like, I saw the leprechaun up there. He was playing that leprechaun flute, the magic leprechaun flute. It reminds me of somebody like saw that video and made a whole like lore about it, but it's called the Hip Hop Witch. And they basically, it's like cut between scenes, very short scenes of these white stoners, and then scene after scene after scene of these real rappers playing themselves.
Yeah.
And it has a chyron, like a news chyron that has a little hip hop witch TV.tv. And it says,
like they're ghost hunters.
Yeah, and it says like Eminem, victim number 27. And it gets up to like victim like 138 or something like that. So in theory, the hip hop witch has killed hundreds of people, but you don't see a single kill.
No, you don't even see the witch.
You don't even see the witch ever.
Like in Blair Witch, I guess.
Yeah. Vanilla Ice, it's kind of implied that he's possessed by the witch or is the witch near the end or something like that. Like he kind of has this crazy bit where I don't know. So
it's all through like interviews.
Yeah.
You're just hearing about the witch the whole time.
And it feels like the like Road Rules, The Challenge, or like what's that? P. Diddy's Making the Band, where they have interviews of these people and it's like a quick cutaway and they're just talking to the camera and then they're talking to each other and it's shot with like this zoom in kind of like 90s, late 90s, early 2000s kind of vibe.
The Dutch, the guitar.
Yeah, like Dutch angle shit. And it's bad hip hop music beds under the whole thing too. Like they don't even use like good, like legit music. They're just like shitty, like royalty free music tracks, like drum and bass shit, kind of filling the void of it. And then on top of that, there's another subplot of like these news agencies, and they're trying to find a hot story.
Yeah.
And it was like a Neil Breen movie where in the office there was like in Neil Breen's Fateful Findings, there's like 7 laptops in his one office, and he's got just piles of books with laptops on them and stuff. And in this one, there's from the library, a rented Encyclopedia Britannica dictionary there, and one of the people are trying to do research on the computer, but it's a word processor. They're typing on like basically a typewriter to try to find like the whatever they're looking up. And the hip hop witch is just like LaQuisha has taken over the country, and everybody's talking about the hip hop witch. So maybe there is validity that LaQuisha is the hip hop witch.
Oh, maybe.
And Eminem gets more airtime than anybody.
He's in the same spot the whole movie, though.
They start the interview and then they cut away and they do some more and then they come back to the same interview. And every version of the interview of all these different rappers is like, oh yeah, the hip hop witch, she's a trifling ass crazy bitch. She's like 6 foot tall. She threw like a green fireball at me and I dodged that shit. And then she stole my friend's hoopty. And then the next person's like, oh yeah, she got like 6 foot long fingers. And you know,
just trying to stick her fingers up my butt.
Trying to stick her finger up my ass. And then later on, it's like, okay, so here I was, and she got her finger up my ass. And it was Eminem the whole time kept talking about. And then eventually he was fingering her ass.
Yeah, and then his elbow deep.
He was elbow deep in this hip hop bitch. And
the hip hop witch's ass.
So the funny thing about this, or kind of sad thing about this, is that right before the film was released, and I say film very lightly.
Right before this video was released.
Yeah, it's listed on IMDb as a video, not a movie. Eminem's lawyers attempted to have the scenes removed from the film. He tried to halt its distribution in 2003, and Artisan Entertainment planned to reissue the film on VHS and DVD with artwork prominently advertising Eminem's appearance in the film.
Oh.
Before the
He's
film,
on the poster.
I know.
Yeah.
Or one of the posters.
When I looked it up, I was like, is this the shitty movie? The poster looks like it's got Eminem on the cover. It's got an interesting little kind of artistic look to it.
Before he was an 8 Mile.
And
he was into hip hop.
Yeah, Artisan recalled copies featuring this artwork without official explanation. So I'm sure they just never got his rights for that to be on the poster.
I see.
But apparently he was like stoned the entire time and was embarrassed about what he did, and he didn't realize it was going into like an actual release. It was just like somebody fucking around with a handy cam because it looks like it's shot.
I mean, it's just a guy with a camera. It's not like a movie set.
Right.
Yeah, and this honestly, clearly, literally looks like high school children making a movie. Like what you would see in mass media or something like that. And you watch someone's student film that they're, and not even a student film, a high school film. When I think of student film, I think of like at least college level film school. Mm-hmm. When I think of high school kids making movies, like we did.
This is just an attempt at making a movie.
Yeah.
Like he just found Ja Rule hanging outside and was just like, hey, can you just talk about your ex or something like that?
Yeah. That's what Joe Bridges. So here's what happened with the movie. Mitch, I don't know who put this on the list, on the Wheel of Punishment list. We never got to the bottom of it. I thought it was Mitch, but then I called him out on Cinematics about it, and he said, "Don't sully,
Mitch the Witch.
Don't sully my name."
You turn an M upside down, it becomes Witch.
Yeah, he said, "Don't sully my name on my birthday," which is Happy Birthday, Mitch.
Happy birthday, Mitch.
Yeah, and
Did they do birthdays in Canada?
I think so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they do it. Yeah, but you age backwards, and there's also no gravity there. So I thought it was him, but apparently it wasn't him. I watched it. Brianna watched it. Joe Bridges, faithful listener to the show, and also a pal on Cinematics. He saw it listed on I watched it on Letterboxd, and he goes, "Well, it's been on my list forever. Might as well watch it." He watched it.
It wasn't him?
No, it wasn't him. He gave it a glowing 3-star review and said it's one of the best comedies of the last decade.
Decade? It's been 20 years since it came out.
Well, he said 25 years then.
Oh, okay.
So here is Joe Bridges' review.
Wait, was it Joel? Was it?
We don't know. No, because Joel never watched it either. He watched the first 10 minutes after he heard about it on the show and fucking fucked off. He said, "No, I won't finish this movie." Now, so Joe Bridges says, "I think this is one of the funniest films of the last 25 years. Hear me out."
That's a big, bold statement.
Quarter century, yeah.
It takes massive, massive, massive balls to release this as a movie. How can you not enjoy Eminem doing ad-lib stories of a witch trying to stick her finger up his butt? Not just one story, but story after story, and they keep getting stranger and stranger. How can you not enjoy directing and staging of an office working environment when it's obvious not a single one of the crew or actors has ever been in an office? A woman tries to find information on a late 80s word processor. How is that the weirdest incoherent logic you've ever seen in a movie? How can you not like the constant interviews, in quotes, with rappers talking about the witch where I'm pretty sure they were just given the prompt, talk about your worst ex-girlfriend. Every single one of the interviews is gold. Scratch that, platinum. How can you not? Oh, yeah, and there's the random people that were obviously wanted to be in a movie, so they just showed up acting insane. A guy in a bike who was screaming, "She's coming.
She's coming.
She's coming."
My mama.
Crackhead on 10 speed. And then when somebody interviews him and said, "Who's coming?" You think she's going to say, "The hip hop witch." And he says, "No, my mama's coming." And then rides off. Trigger warning. Vanilla Ice shows up. He said, I absolutely ordered this on DVD for my collection the second it was done, watched on Tubi.
They authored DVDs for this movie.
I know. So Joseph put his review, Bridges, onto Cinematics, which sparked other people to watch it. And we got
taken over.
We got multiple people who watched the Hip Hop Witch. We got Joel finished it now.
Oh, you finished it?
He finished it.
Okay.
Yeah. He basically said, "Oh my God, 30 minutes left. I'm going to finish it in my free time away from the child, which is in the bathroom."
It's an endurance test.
Yeah. Let's see here. No. Yeah. And the Hip Hop Witch has taken over. We have Andrew Dykstra post on Cinematics. What bullshit, Joseph Bridges, what bullshit have you wrought upon this group? It's become the Hip Hop Witch cult. And then I asked people to please give your basically your comments of the Hip Hop Witch. Anybody who's been taken over by the witch. Jack Fitzpatrick says it's happening. Posted a video of him watching the movie. Everyone is.
I know that Mitch watched it.
Mitch already watched it.
Oh, he's already seen it.
He's already seen it. He was the one. Yeah, he's the one who I thought brought it to us. We have, let's see here, 42 comments on this one. Chad Wilfong. Maybe I'll watch this tomorrow. I expect awfulness. I'm imagining someone calling Eminem and telling him that there's been a 3,000% increase on streaming of this movie this month. That's from Joel. The residual checks just went from 1 cent to 25 cents. Says Joe Bridges. And let's see here. Bruce Perky says, I made it 20 minutes in. I'm not sure if I can return. He does say that he's almost 60 now and he realized that he doesn't have time for the Hip Hop Witch. Let's see what else. Who is here? Julian Howard says, it makes Skinamarink look like a good movie.
Oh, damn.
Joel did finish it. Andrew Martin says, y'all gonna make me watch this now. And now it's infected to this cult of cinema.
Yeah.
Who else watches? Oh, Heather Sachs made it on Twitter, who's in the chat now. She's one of my Twitter friends, and she was never in the Cinematics group, so she wasn't affected by it. It made its way into the Twitter.
Shit.
She posted, I'm watching the Hip Hop Witch so I can follow along in the live stream tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, fuck, it's got to Muskie. Oh, Elon has been infected.
It really is. This is the curse.
It is spreading.
It is spreading. Chad Wilfong says, my eyes.
There was one bit in the movie where there's the interviewer is like, we're just waiting on an interview for Eminem.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it keeps coming back to her. At any moment now,
Still
we're
waiting.
going to get an interview with Eminem.
Yep.
He does like 3 or 4 times. And she's like, yep, we're still out here in the hallway, just waiting for the go-ahead to give Eminem his interview.
Andrew Martin says, the Hip Hop Witch is in the new Omen movie.
I don't know what he means by that. Do you know what he means by that?
There's a witch in there. It's the witch.
There's a witch?
She's the beast.
Oh, okay.
The Hip Hop Witch is a 5-star movie because it brought us all together. So it's become it's infected us, and anybody who's watched it, God bless you, because this movie fucking blows. 0.5 star, 0 review. Don't watch.
Wow.
Yeah.
Worse than LaQuisha?
Yes, worse than Lucretia. This one, at least, it doesn't even look good. It doesn't look good. It
doesn't follow
sound
a
good.
movie structure.
Doesn't follow a structure. There's people are posting videos of it on the Cinematics group. Jack asked, do I continue being employed, socializing on occasion, and creating art and generally living, or do I succumb to the Hip Hop Witch and only exclusively watch that for the rest of my life with no breaks? And then Ken Cunningham says, I need you to keep the same witch energy when Madam Web is streaming so we can have a collective trauma dump from that too.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so those are the punishment movies. I've paid my due. I'm going to take the Oscar pool way more seriously next year because fuck. Damn, that was a lot.
That was 2 movies.
That was just the 2 movies. And it felt like my whole month has been taken up by those 2 fucking movies.
Yeah.
Okay, so my actual streaming picks. This is on Netflix. This is not a movie. It's a series called The Magic Prank Show with Justin Willman.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I've seen clips of this on Instagram. Looks fun.
He had his previous show.
Yes, so Justin Willman's this great comedian who I really like. He's a comedian magician, and he had the last show was called Magic for Humans. Mm-hmm. It had 2 seasons, maybe I think it was 3 seasons.
2 seasons and a special.
Maybe something like that.
I remember.
But I loved Magic for Humans. I thought it was great. Really fun stuff. It's like on the street magic with real people. David Blaine, but fun, not so serious. And they would do a lot of interesting stuff. And they did some like sort of like sleight of hand stuff with kids where they pretended like it was like the marshmallow experiment. You know, you put a marshmallow. You can have 1 marshmallow now, but I'm going to leave for 30 minutes. If you come back, you can have 2 marshmallows. And they had to do the test with the kids, you know. Mm-hmm. And then when he does some sort of trick and he goes, oh, if I came back, you would have had all these marshmallows. And he pulls the cup up and there's like 100 marshmallows in there. And you're like, what the fuck? How'd that happen? Wow. It's a fun show. There's a lot of really good stuff from Magic for Humans.
He pretends that he makes someone think that they're invisible.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Magic for
So Magic for Humans that was one of the big, more memorable ones. And it was like this guy in a park and they did the whole thing where you take the picture like alone with like set up beforehand. And then he picked a random person from the park, which is the only plant. Everybody else was a everybody else was
a plant.
Yeah, correct. Yes. And he was the only like natural person. And they make him invisible, and he doesn't believe it. Everyone's like, "Wow, you're invisible!" And he's like, "What the fuck?" And then they do the picture. He's like, "Come over here and take a picture with them." And they show him the camera, and the camera's just him by himself. The guy's gone, and he's like, "Whoa, fuck! I'm really invisible. How the fuck?"
Yeah.
The guy had a really good time. And he's like stealing stuff out of people's picnic baskets and stuff, and he really like.
And they're like, "That thing's floating."
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. And it's like, it was a really cool time. So this new show is called The Magic Prank Show, and it's a little bit more like
Impractical Jokers.
Yeah, a little bit. But he takes a person. It's like Nathan for You, where he takes a person and tries to help them with magic.
Oh, okay.
So he finds a person, for example, who, he posted on his Instagram feed or whatever, Facebook feed, hey, I'm going to do a prank show. Does anybody want to get involved with real people? And some guy in the chat says, can you make my husband disappear? LOL. He's an older man, judging by his avatar. So Justin finds this man's husband in real life. He Facebook stalks him, finds his husband, contacts his husband and says, I got a problem with boomers. My wife is the bad. That's the joke, right? Or my husband's bad. That's the joke.
My spouse is bad.
Yeah. Don't like him. Get rid of him, even though I'm married to the guy. And he goes, I think that's mean. And I think that that's something that we need to get rid of. So how about you help me play a trick on your husband? So he gets the guy's husband to do this prank where he goes into a porta potty and then they are pumping out the porta potty and it accidentally goes in reverse and explodes. And the guy's disappeared and his husband's just sitting over there at like the food truck event that they're at in LA. And he's like, wait, what? And he goes, did somebody go in there? And he's like, yeah, my husband's just in there. And he goes, oh, don't tell me that. My boss is going to kill me, man. You got to help me. And so he plays a character, and Justin Willman plays a character in every one of these things because he has to be part of the actual magic. And the extent of the pranks are much bigger in this version, and you see a little bit of the behind the scenes of it too, which I like. It's 8 episodes, I want to say, and that disappearing person prank comes back in this because after they did it on Magic for Humans, you see a bunch of YouTube videos about that.
Yeah,
people
like other people doing it.
Yeah, with their kids, and there's one famous video of this young like Latino boy, crying, because he thinks he's invisible and he doesn't know how to get back. Yeah. They get that kid on the show to prank his sister, who she was the one who set up the invisibility prank with him, and then older sister, and then showed all his friends, and he became YouTube famous, and he was famous for crying. And he's like, Justin, will you help me get my sister back? I'm the kid in that video. I want her to cry.
Yeah.
I want her to cry.
Yes. That's the whole point, is to make her so scared that she cries like he did. And the prank that they decide to do with that, instead of making her disappear like he was, they make everyone around her disappear. So they basically fake a rapture.
Yeah.
They fake a rapture in a restaurant. And they make there's like 30 people in the restaurant. They all disappear. And she thinks that she's the only one left in the rapture. And they have like God talking to her from out.
Oh my God.
And she starts crying, and then they bring the brother out and they reveal it's a prank, and it's really good. So
wow. That's a lot.
It's a lot. So each episode is about 45 minutes or so. Like an hour with commercials, but
do they do
commercials.
like the thing where it's like there's like interstitial pranks between like the big big prank entree prank?
There's one big prank and one small prank in each episode, except for the finale is one long big prank. It's the long con. And they do.
It just reminds me of the Nathan for You, the child predator.
Yes.
Where he's like handcuffed.
Excuse me. And in this one, there's kind of like a Mythbusters crew where it's all his magic friends, and they show them trying to design the pranks and stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's one where, hey, can you help me prank my sister? The 2 adults, brother and sister. She always pranks me, and she pranks me with this like mannequin head. My mom's a hairstylist, and she's got the mannequin head. and she keeps putting it in my bed. It gets me every time. So they try to do this prank where they're going to try to make the sister believe that her brother's head came off or something like that.
Okay.
And there's a scene where they're doing like a chiropractor thing where they're like, okay, we're going to put you in here and then your head's going to go down, but we're going to take a dummy head and pull it off somehow. And they, in their like magic studio, they hit a button and the head explodes off with blood flying all over the place and smashes a hole in the wall. And they're like, well, we don't want her to have a heart attack, but we maybe let's go a different route. So they show like the failed attempts at the magic and them brainstorming what kind of magic trick that they're going to do to get the person and then setting it up. And it's really, really great. So you don't have to like be into quote unquote into magic to like this. It's just a really fun show and it's not too wholesome and it's not too like R-rated. I think this is literally a show you can watch with everybody. So it's called The Magic Prank Show with Justin Willman and it's on Netflix right now. Came out on April 1st. I got an advanced screening for it through Netflix and I just couldn't talk about it because we live streamed this and April 1st was the release date. And we went live like 2 days before last.
How'd you get early access?
I got with the Netflix people.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a really fun watch. I watched Birth Rebirth, which is streaming on AMC Plus. I didn't love this. I didn't hate it either. It had some really interesting kind of moments to it, but ultimately I thought it was kind of left me a little bit cold. And it's basically a woman who's a nurse, her daughter dies unexpectedly, and she finds out that another person at the same hospital took her daughter's body home and reanimated her.
Oh,
she's been working.
Frankenhooker.
Yeah, she's been working on like bringing people back to life her entire life, and she has already brought a pig back to life.
It's like the Lazarus Project.
Kind of, yeah, it's similar to that. And then now the mother kind of teams up with the woman who stole her daughter's body because she realizes, oh, fuck, she is alive. And what happens behind that. Now, you think it kind of goes into some fantastical finale with this, but it really kind of fizzles out. And where this whole movie would be like the first act or maybe first act and a half of a real movie. And then the third act would have some big something reveal to the world or whatever. But it's like right when that gets going, the movie's over. So you kind of left me a little bit cold on that. So that's a Birth Rebirth. If the plot sounds good, great acting. And it's Carla from Scrubs, the Latino, kind of half black, half Latino woman from Scrubs. She plays the mother of the daughter, and she's great in this. Really, really good in this.
What is she?
AMC Plus.
Oh.
I watched Wormwood, Road of the Dead from 2014. This is like a $150,000 budget zombie movie from Australia, and it's basically touted as Night of the Living Dead mixed with Mad Max.
Okay.
Wow. And it is, I call it more like 28 Days Later mixed with Mad Max, but potato. This is streaming on, let's see here, also AMC Plus. Oh, you know what? Birth Rebirth, I think, is on Hulu. I'm sorry. But yeah, Wormwood, it's spelled W-Y-R-M Wood. Wormwood, which is the name of some sort of comet or something like that, some light from the Bible that signifies the end of times. And you're basically following, there we go. Wormwood. The selling point to this is, again, it's a low budget zombie movie. You probably never heard of it. You've definitely never seen it. And it is fucking gory as shit. There's so many fun, cool kills. Like the entire budget was built on practical effects. And they build themselves like football gear that's painted black, like Mad Max style. And they're converting their cars, to this alternative fuel source because for some reason in this post-apocalyptic zombie world, all the gasoline has lost its flammability.
Oh.
But the blood and the breath of the zombies is flammable. So they're like walking grenades. And you could
Australia runs on zombies.
Yeah. So they at some point they convert a car over to zombie blood power.
Oh.
And they build a cage around it, and they're all out there with axes and bats and stuff, killing zombies out in the bush, in Australia. It's pretty fucking cool. And then there's a subplot too about one of the characters is trying to get to his sister who is stranded in this mad scientist's mobile lab, and she's being injected with spinal fluid from one of the zombies, and she turns into the zombie queen and control all the zombies.
Okay.
it gets fucking wild. So
All right.
all that sounds like stupid and whatever, but it's executed in a very fun way, and it like the blood and the guts and the viscera all feels very real. So underrated zombie movie called Wormwood or Wormwood Road of the Dead from 2014. It is streaming on AMC Plus, and I think it's worth a rent if you're a zombie fan. And then lastly, Lisa Frankenstein. Lisa Frankenstein. This is a Zelda Williams, Robin Williams' daughter.
Oh, debut too. Yeah?
Debut feature, directing feature. And it's streaming on Peacock. And it's starring, who's the girl from Spontaneous? What is her name? It's...
Is she also in Freaky?
Yes, that same girl.
Yeah.
I can never remember her name. Catherine Newton.
There we go.
And Cole Sprouse, who plays one of the
Twins in
He
Big
plays
Daddy.
Cody
Yeah.
in Sweet Life of Zack and Cody.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And he also plays, doesn't he call himself Frankenstein in Big Daddy?
Oh my God. Wait. No.
Yes, he does.
Yes,
Does
I'm
at some
Frankenstein.
point.
Yeah, I remember a
Because he's
part.
like, you want to name yourself? Sure. What do you want to name yourself? Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Andrew Martin corrected me. Birth Rebirth is on Shudder. It's a Shudder original,
There we go.
which I think you can also get on AMC. I think, but either way. So Lisa Frankenstein. It's kind of an imagining of Frankenstein, but not really. Honestly,
Like a modern.
it's more.
Frankenstein?
It's more like a.
Like a playful kind
It's
of.
more like a zombie thing because
Is that what Frankenstein is?
a light.
Or the monster, Frankenstein's monster?
So Dr. Victor Frankenstein intentionally decided to create a monster made of multiple human parts, and then the lightning provided the power to get the monster to life, right? In this version, a lightning storm just happens to bring to life a zombie, like a one corpse.
I see.
And it happens to be the corpse of this person.
Cole Sprouse.
Of Cole Sprouse. And he's like a turn of the century, like 1900s or maybe like 1850s dandy. And she is a kind of depressed, macabre sort of young girl whose mom was murdered in spectacular fashion when she was younger. Now she's very detracted from society, and she hangs out in the graveyard in the cemetery. And she particularly likes this grave because it has this great headstone on it, and that's the one that gets brought to life.
I see.
He comes to her house, and he's missing like a hand, he's missing an ear, and so she starts killing people and taking their parts and sewing them onto him. And as he gets more parts added to him, he becomes more and more like a living person, less like a zombie.
More human.
More human.
Warm bodies.
Yeah,
that's what I was
very
thinking.
warm bodies like. And it's all set in the 80s, so there's a pretty cool vibe to it. But I don't know what it was about this, but it really didn't land on me very well at all.
It looks like a mid movie. I gotta say
it's below mid in my opinion.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe mid, maybe below mid.
Diablo Cody write this? I
Yeah,
think?
Diablo Cody wrote it. You're right.
Oh.
So it also has Carla Gugino's in it,
Oh, the one that got canceled from
or Gugino.
from The Mandalorian.
No, that's
Gina Carano.
Oh, I was nowhere near that.
Carla Gugino is from
Watchmen.
Gerald's Game.
Oh, she's
Watchmen.
the mom from Spy Kids 1, 2,
Yeah,
and 3.
I think so. No, that's Gina Carano also.
No, that's Marla Gugino.
So I think the storytelling in this is kind of bad. It's set up the character the character motivations don't make sense. The directing's not
I
really
was gonna
great.
ask, do you think if they had a different director, it'd be a better movie?
I think so.
Is this supposed to be a comedy?
Yeah, it's like a cheeky dark comedy.
Oh.
Sorry, Zelda.
Yeah, the sets were okay. Costume design and makeup was really solid. I liked that her stepsister was actually nice to her.
Not everyone in your family can be funny.
Yeah. But the character motivations, they just didn't feel fully realized. They rushed through a lot of the exposition pieces that would have helped bring it all together. But you're just kind of like, oh, she's murdering people now? I thought I was kind of rooting for her. And it's not like murdering in a fun way. It's like...
In a lame way.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of murders her stepmom, who is an asshole to her. And then she absolutely does murder someone who sexually assaulted her. So you're like, okay, I'll give you a pass for that. But then it gets worse, and then she starts kills a cop randomly who just discovers
that's okay.
she's a nice cop.
She was ahead of her time.
Yeah, 1980s ACAB.
The only good cop.
Dead. That's Skinhead you're thinking of. So, anyways, I don't know. You could pass on this. It's streaming on Peacock, but you could absolutely pass on it.
So it's not funny.
There were some funny parts. I mean, it was cute.
Was it out loud?
Did you laugh
No.
more in LaQuisha or this movie?
Push, even. I probably laughed a little bit more in this. It's not. I don't think it's supposed to be an outright funny movie. It's more clever than anything. So yeah, Lisa Frankenstein.
It's
I'm not gonna ever remember this.
Didn't move the needle.
No, not at all.
Didn't do anything.
Yeah, 2.5 stars maybe. Something like that. So that's what I got.
Okay.
Yeah. Javier, do you have anything else you wanted to say before we take a break before our review?
You can pay your way onto this seat. You just have to pay $20 a month for a year, and you can get on the show.
You can be on the
I
show.
paid my way here.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's called what's it? Nepotism.
and be in the area.
Go to the 3 up.
Yeah.
Also be in Sacramento the weekend we're recording this.
Yeah. To get the dump set up. That was a plant.
Yeah.
We actually texted Tyler's dad and was like, "Hey, you have to go to the dump on this day."
I know. Daryl, can you take Tyler out of town somewhere? Possibly somewhere dirty.
Need some new wardrobe and new sheets.
It's his Disneyland. Let him have fun.
I hope that anybody who's listening on the podcast at least hops over to the YouTube to see our fun post-it note we put over Tyler's name.
Yeah,
for
really
Javier.
clever. I love it.
Yeah, it's just a temporary fix. We'll fill it in next time we have a different fill-in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're gonna take a break right now on the live stream. We're gonna keep it running. So if you want to be involved at the feature review, which is gonna be Blackberry from last year, directed by Mac Johnson, stick around. If you're on the YouTube land, that'll be released this Wednesday. But thank you to everyone in the YouTube live chat who's been chatting it up with us. Joseph Bridges just popped in there. Oh my gosh, Andrew says Lisa Frankenstein's a perfect 5 out of 5, better than Dune Part 2. Oh boy, I don't know about that.
Smoking dope.
Hey, what are you smoking over there, Andrew?
It's the witch. Honestly, it's
yeah,
what's
the witch got him. The hip hop witch got him. Maybe that's the only thing that could have made Dune 2 better is the hip hop witch.
The witch.
She's in there riding the sandworm. So yeah,
She's
anyways,
in it. The Bene Gesserit. They're witches.
Oh, that's true. Good point. Anything else, fellas?
Nay.
Okay.
0 for me.
So thank you to our cool ass yard duties over on Patreon. That's Javier.
What's good?
Yeah. Heather Sachs in the chat, Ryan Corbin, and Chris. If you want to follow us on Patreon, patreon.com/middleclassfilmclass. But watching on the YouTube stream or YouTube after the stream is not live anymore is just as good. So until next time. Thank you for joining us as we Gab and Chatter. Follow us later on in the week or in a few minutes when we review Blackberry from Matt Johnson from Javier right over there. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/MCFC podcast, and send us an email, mcfcpodcast@gmail.com. Do you know it, Javier?
No, hell no.
And follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Middle Class Film Class and on Twitter at Podcast MCFC and leave us a voicemail at number.
Yeah, it's in the show notes. But more importantly, go to the YouTube page, watch us on there, watch our shorts and all that kind of good stuff. And it means a lot. We'll see you next time.
See ya.
Soundbite at the end.
Huh?
Oh, that's a Jew.
Now I'm really depressed.
Oh my God! What? I feel like this movie. Tyler, you are drenched this time.
Use your brain! Use your brain!
Oh, it's time for class. Class is in session!
Roll call!
Bueller?
I'm gonna be late for class.
Bueller? Am I hallucinating here? Just what in the hell do you think you're doing?
I'm late for class.
You're mine now. You belong to me.
Did you study for the test?
No more complaining. No more Mr. Kimble to go to the bathroom. Nothing. There is no bathroom.
Welcome to another episode of Middle Class Film Class. I'm your host for today, Pete.
I'm Javier.
And I'm Joseph.
And on today's episode, we are reviewing a movie from the Wheel of Destiny from our old pal Javier, the OG classmate, the OG Patreon member, and cool ass yard duty. This episode, we're reviewing Blackberry.
Yeah, what can I do for you? Okay, picture a cell phone and an email machine all in one thing. There is a free wireless internet signal all across North America, and nobody has figured out how to use it. It's like the Force. Sorry, have you seen Star Wars? No. That guy is sketchy. I don't think he's sketchy. The guy's a shark.
I know how to market it, and I know who we can sell it to. But I want 50% of the company, and I've got to be CEO.
I don't know who you think you are, but deal. Are you joking?
We are in a race to get this thing to market, and we are a year behind. I need a prototype.
What do you call it?
It's called a Blackberry.
Huh. Try typing with your thumbs.
All right, Blackberry. So this is a movie from 2023, directed by Matt Johnson, who is, I think of him like an indie film hero in a way, you know.
Definitely.
Yeah, and I know Javier has pretty strong feelings about him too. This is written by Jacques McNish, which is the book is based off of Losing the Signal. Sean Silkoff also wrote Losing the Signal, and then the screenplay is written by the Matts, Matt Johnson and Matthew Miller. I didn't hear the name Matthew Miller before. I thought maybe that was like a Matt Johnson collaborator, but I think it's just a Canadian guy that they kind of got for the CBC to kind of co-op the movie with them. Yeah, so this is starring Jay Baruchel as Mike, Glenn Howerton as Jim, Matt Johnson, the director-writer, as Doug, Kelly Vanderberg as Jasmine, Gregory Ambrose as young. Anyway, none of those other people matter. It's basically the three main characters. Mike, Jim, and Doug are kind of the main ones. And this was put on the Wheel of Destiny for a Patreon pick from Javier, who's filling in for Tyler today. Yeah, that's right.
Kaz at the dump, swimming in garbage.
still at the dump. There we go.
Yeah, and so you, Javi, you
wanted us to talk about
You chose this movie. Why this movie of all movies?
Okay, so a couple of things. One is Matt Johnson is probably one of my favorite filmmakers, period.
Cool.
If I had to make a top 5, he would definitely be in it.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, really big fan of him.
What the hell's going on down there?
Yeah, can you hear that?
Yeah, they're excited. They're excited.
They're excited.
Matt Johnson. Matt Johnson. Yeah, he's fantastic. He's so far 3 for 3. His first film, The Dirties, was one that I felt really attached to. Like it definitely felt like a love letter to people who love movies and love making movies for the sake of making movies.
Yeah.
His second film felt very much like I'm going to challenge myself as a filmmaker with something that's hard. And
as Operation Avalanche?
Operation Avalanche. Okay. Yeah. And that I also really, really enjoyed. Not as much as his first film. It's less of a love letter and more of a exploration in film in a lot of ways. And it felt more like a journey for him, but I thought it was still a really compelling movie.
Cool.
And then this one is probably his most commercial movie out there.
Yeah, it feels more like a studio movie.
Yeah. And I knew nothing about this movie going into it other than it was just a Matt Johnson movie in Blackberry. And I kind of assumed that it was going to be almost like a parody making fun of like the Steve Jobs movie or something like that.
Social Network or something.
Right. And so I loved those other movies, the Fassbender Steve Jobs one. Not
Jobs. I think it's just called Jobs.
Ashton Kutcher one?
Not the Kutcher one.
What was that one called?
Steve.
I thought that one was called Jobs.
Okay, maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah. Hopefully someone in chat knows.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Is there anybody in the chat still?
Wait, one's called Steve Jobs.
Yeah, one's called Steve Jobs and the other one's called Jobs.
Okay.
I think Kutcher is Jobs, Fassbender is Steve Jobs.
Okay. Danny Boyle directed that one.
Yes.
The Michael Fassbender one.
Yeah. Aaron Sorkin wrote that one. And you can tell, like, he's got very sharp writing. That's it's almost like a symphony, you know, the way people talk. So I assumed that this was going to be kind of a parody in a way. So I kind of just asked my friends, hey, I'm going to watch this movie by this director who I really, really love. If anyone's interested in watching it. We got like 12 people to go who never like even heard of this. And everyone was like, that was fucking good. Why have we never heard of this movie?
Oh, cool.
So I think the reason I brought it up is because I still feel like it's not super talked about. Like
Blackberry?
it's getting more popular now, which I'm glad. But I definitely think more people need to watch this. This was one of my favorite films of last year. So yeah, that's the main reason I brought it up.
What's your relationship with Blackberry, the product?
Never had one. Knew about it. Didn't give a shit about it. All that other stuff.
My bad. I'm on the YouTube live. I'm in the chat and I can hear it. So you never had one, but you knew about it.
Yeah. I mean, did you have one?
Yeah, I did. I was BBMing.
Oh, really?
Yeah, BBM.
He's got a BBM.
BlackBerry Messenger was like the alternative to texting, and they do cover it in the movie when they talk about free texting only on BlackBerry.
Yeah.
That was part of the appeal for me when I got it, was that I had a couple friends that were on Blackberries, and they were like, it was almost like AIM, like AIM.
Yeah.
You know, AOL
Oh,
Instant,
yeah.
you remember AOL Instant Messenger?
Yeah. Do you remember your AIM name?
Crazy Genius 13. I still use it.
Did you have a name?
I don't for AIM.
Yeah.
I was more of an MSN Messenger.
What was your name on that one?
What the fuck? Are you kidding me? Get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
MSN. Next time you're going to tell me you had a Zune.
A Zune? No, my dad had a Zune.
Okay, that tracks.
No, my dad had a Zune. I don't remember my name though. It's probably like my email, like Diablo Rules
Joseph,
or something like that.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say I used to have some Diablo based usernames.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had a BlackBerry Curve 8330. That was my model. And I got into it enough. This is ridiculous, but I got into it enough where I would buy cases on online on like blackberryparts.com, and I could customize the roller ball, the little track ball. I never liked the track pad with the, they had the ball at some point, a tactile ball, and that was kind of on brand for BlackBerry, was the functional click, and that was the big thing. Like I had this Nokia, can't remember the name of it now, but it looked like a classic Nokia brick phone, the unbreakable brick, but you could flip open the faceplate and the screen would turn sideways, and then you could type on a full QWERTY keyboard.
Right. Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, that's dope because I can text under the desk at high school.
Yeah.
Without looking at it.
Yeah. Pete, what are you doing under there? Yeah,
I know. Checking off. I'm not on my phone. But I got the 8330 kind of like after I graduated high school, because I only got a cell phone in like my senior year of high school. Before that, a pager, paging it up.
Oh, nice.
Oh yeah, first 3 years of high school, I had a pager.
Someone's trying to call you.
911 with a phone number next to it. And you're like, oh shit. And you call that person, they'd be like, you want to hang out after school today?
Yeah.
I had to ask the nurse if I could use the phone to call you. But so yeah, BBM was a big thing because you had like friends on the BBM network, BlackBerry Messenger network. And it was almost like you had your own little chat and you could go back and forth with them, which has evolved into like text conversations now and group chats now. But it was like that back then.
Yeah.
Facebook Messenger owes a huge debt of gratitude to BlackBerry Messenger. And I would buy the cases. You could snap the back of the case off and the front of the case off. And I would paint them because I was a car painter back then. And I would paint them with bright colors whenever a funky color would come into the shop. And I'd paint cases and swap cases out. And people are like, where'd you get that case? I'm like, I fucking painted it. Car paint. Asshole. Oh, you want to buy one? And I would slang them. I would sell cases, BlackBerry cases.
Slinging BlackBerry.
Slanging BlackBerry cases, yeah. So that was my exposure to that. And then eventually I kept it all the way up until the point where droids became a thing.
Yeah.
So I dipped my toe into the droid pool, had like a Droid X or whatever it was called. And then eventually my work gave me an iPhone for work. And I was like, then I had an iPhone for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
So, Joseph, how about you? Blackberries?
Blackberries? No. I had never had one.
Like the fruit?
No.
Don't like the fruit?
The fruit? I mean, it's all right. I like blackberry pie.
There you go.
Apple blackberry pie. Delicious. My dad never had a BlackBerry. He had that cell phone. The first cell phone I remember him having was like, it was like a flip phone, and the texture was like a PlayStation analog stick.
Yeah,
like that's the texture of the outside of the phone, and then it had the little antenna you pull out.
Oh, really?
And it flipped, and it had like a screen that was very narrow when he opened it.
That's interesting.
But no, never had a BlackBerry. I think he had a Palm Pilot at one point.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Palm Pilots have the antenna.
Yeah.
They make fun of it in the movie too.
Yeah.
It's like they need a fucking antenna for their modem. We're not gonna merge with Palm Pilot.
I think I was just too young to have a BlackBerry when they were out. So
yeah,
I missed the train.
That's fair. My first one was the Nokia, like the brick one, like the small little brick where you could just play like Snake all day.
Yep.
Hell yeah, Snake's my jam.
Yeah, and then my first I think real phone was my mom's hand-me-down Razor.
Oh, the Razor?
Yeah.
Nice.
Your mom gave you a used razor?
She gave me a used razor, man.
Was it dull?
Dude, it was so dull. Oh my
god. Okay, so that's our history of the BlackBerry. A little bit more context on the movie before we get into initial thoughts. There's two versions. There's the theatrical cut, which came out in 2023, and then later on, I think late in 2023, they released a limited series, BlackBerry limited series, which is a 3-part movie, which adds 16 additional minutes of content to the movie. Which version did you guys watch?
I just watched the movie. Like,
okay.
Not the episodic.
And this is unusual for you too, because you, Javier, historically, you've told us you don't rewatch movies.
I don't.
You'll like wait 10 years to rewatch a movie.
I still haven't seen Her. It's been like 15 years.
You watched it one time, loved it.
Yeah.
And then 15 years before you revisit.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, that's crazy. Yeah. And so you revisited this movie.
Yes.
And I watched the limited series because I watched the movie version the first time. So I have a little bit of context for that later. But Javi, go ahead and give your initial thoughts on this on our second rewatch.
Yeah. So I actually think I found a lot more to enjoy about this movie. It's kind of very clearly broken up into 3 acts. I think the first 2 acts are more on the compelling side. The third act, I think, is also really serviceable. It's just not as compelling or I think as character driven as the first two.
Yeah, for sure.
I do love how it rounds about with the hissing and the buzzing.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of that, but
I do like that story arc.
Yeah,
Small
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of detail arc.
It's very much like you see
comes around.
Very slowly how he's kind of turning in to a person who he never wanted to be.
Who he hates most.
Yeah, exactly. But I really, really enjoyed it the second time around. So I'll probably see it in probably another like 17 years, something like that. Yeah.
By then, Matt Johnson will have released 5 other movies.
Yeah, I mean, if we're lucky, man. He
works kind of like I don't know when Operation Avalanche came out, but
it came right after The Dirties.
Really?
Yeah. So he had kind of a big break there.
Yeah, I mean, this is a much bigger budget and more names in this movie compared to his previous.
Yeah, they actually have names for this time. Before it was like his pals. Yeah. It's just like his friends making a guerrilla style movie.
That's exactly what it was. Like people from The Dirties he took and brought over to Operation Avalanche. I didn't see any like same faces from there other than Matt Johnson, who first off does an excellent job. Operation Avalanche was maybe the only one, but like he did a great job in The Dirties, like being a believable high schooler.
I loved him in The Dirties. Yeah,
he was so and I'm like I've definitely seen these kids in school. And I think he did a great job with this too. He just does a good job of like casting himself as a believable character archetype.
He's really funny too,
hilarious. Yeah.
And I think besides the over the top acting of Glenn Howerton, I think he easily the funniest part of this movie. Like
Definitely.
he adds all the humor comes from him.
Yeah, he's got great comedic timing. Super good.
Yeah.
Joseph.
Me?
Yeah,
My
Joseph.
turn?
Joseph.
Okay.
Initial thoughts.
Yeah, so this is a first watch for me, and I mean I kind of knew the kind of movie that I was going into, kind of like a rise to fame or power of sorts, and then an ultimate like demise. Which I do kind of enjoy those kinds of stories. Like Social Network kind of follows that. Like obviously Facebook succeeds in its way, but like more about the characters and that fall out from being friends first and then business partners, and then there's this big drama and legal battles and stuff. So I like that kind of story, and I really did enjoy Blackberry. I thought it was really compelling, like you said, in the first 2 acts. Really exciting in the first 2 acts.
Yeah,
I think just like what they're doing, and like you can feel the tension. Like we have to have this prototype tomorrow. Like we have to do everything tonight, and then you see the prototype, and it's just like this. Yeah, I just think it looked like it was duct taped together.
Yeah.
And it is just really funny, aside from being, I guess, like a real life event that happened and it sort of dramatizing it. It is just like really funny. Like Glenn Howerton was perfectly cast, I think, to play that kind of character. And even though I think that the bald makeup was, I felt like kind of like goofy, and I could like see through it a little bit.
Yeah. What do you mean?
He was really bald for this.
Yeah,
he actually was.
Really?
I'm not joking.
Was he really?
He was really bald for this.
It looks like you could, like, I can't see the line on it.
His whole head was bald.
Like,
or did he just, or he just shaved the top?
He's just shaved the top.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's actually because he's on a podcast too with the Always Sunny cast.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tyler was talking about that last week.
And there was a moment where they were talking about it. He was wearing a beanie and he takes it off. He's like, "Yeah, this is for my movie," and that was real.
It's just bald on the top.
Yeah.
So
Part of me feels like Glenn Howerton would have worn a bald cap just for that gag. To be like, look, I really did it, guys. You know.
It's a real Last of Us draft situation then.
Maybe, maybe it's that combined with, you know how when someone freshly shaves their head and it looks very pale, and then versus a person who's been living it for 10 years and it's the same color as their face skin.
Yeah,
it's like Michael Rooker in Mallrats. Clearly looks like he just shaved it for that production versus Ed Harris. But him with Jay Baruchel's wig.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's probably the twofer.
But yeah, it's super enjoyable. It kind of is filmed in a similar style to his previous movies. Like it still feels like a documentary-esque in a way. Like we're kind of far away watching things happen. A lot of telephoto lenses in this, and then like the handheld sort of kind of documentary style filmmaking in it. But yeah, it was really compelling. I really enjoyed the story, and I like how it kind of comes around with the hissing, and now he is the person who is who's Glenn Howerton's character by the end of the movie, Jay Baruchel. Like he becomes that person who he was kind of totally like the antithesis of that person in the beginning. Now he is the thesis of that person.
Yeah.
But yeah, really enjoyable. Really liked it.
All right, great. So on second watch, I watched the theatrical version and I watched this for the first time, and I watched the 3-part miniseries this time, and it felt perfect as this limited series.
Really?
Yeah, it felt great. I was thinking, oh, I'm going to see the clunkiness of it or whatever, and it's like kind of shoehorn into it. But I mean, think about it. 3-act structure, 3-part miniseries. It really makes sense. They get to the end of the first one. It's like right when the Blackberry breaks, and then the second part is the hostile takeover and them trying to scramble to get that, and then the third part is the fallout from the decisions they made from that, scrambling.
Yeah.
And, I looked into, I'll talk a little bit later about the differences, but they essentially planned all along to do it this way.
Really?
It was supposed to be a limited series.
Oh, wow.
As they started shooting the film, they realized this is kind of leaning more like a movie. The structure we have it is more like a movie. And so they cut it into there. And then as Matt Johnson is making decisions with the editor, and they're like, I really don't want to cut that scene out. Oh, we could use it for the series though. So they would cut the movie, kill your darling, and then save that later for the series.
I see.
And the other thing that was really cool about it was in the limited series is you get a lot of the interstitials at the end and the beginning of the each segment that kind of show the social impact currently, because it goes from 1996 to 2003. From the first act to the second act, they blow up. It's 2003, and then it shows all this like live footage of Oprah giving everybody in her audience Blackberries and all this kind of stuff, and people walking around with their hands, facing their phone, which is now a staple of today. But back then, people were like, "This is the devil." They're talking about outlawing the Blackberries because they call it a crackberry, and it's going, and it's like, and it's showing real footage of business people being their lives taken over by the Blackberry, and I really liked that. It lent a little bit more realism to. I wasn't old enough to really feel that at the time. My exposure to it was a lot more ancillary, but so that was really cool in that sense. But like Javier, I think this was even better a second time. Yeah, really good. I think I rated it at 3.5 on the first one, and spoilers for the end of the show, but this is probably like a 4.5 star. It's really funny, really good. The structure of it is great. And I didn't appreciate the payoff for the buzzing last time. The really only kind of circular structure of the story that I noticed directly was Glenn Howerton's Doug was his name? No, Doug is the good guy. Doug is Matt Johnson.
Yeah. Mike.
Mike. No, Mike is the other nice one.
No, Mike is Jay Baruchel.
Jim Balsillie.
Oh, Glenn Howerton's guy.
Glenn Howerton. Yeah, so when Jim tells Mike... Balsillie.
Yeah.
It's Balsillie, not Balsillie. But when he is in the car with him and he goes, the best advice I ever got at Harvard was you got to cut people out of your life, and the more painful the cut, the more impactful or successful it'll mean for you, which is fucking stupid advice. Like, that's stupid.
That's like entrepreneur advice.
Yeah, that's
if your 5 best friends aren't talking about stonks and it's other shit, then you're doing something wrong.
It's very toxic hustle, kind of mentality.
Yeah, and there are points in your life where you do have to cut people out of your life, but it's not the rule shouldn't be the more painful it is, the better it's going to be for you. That's bullshit. And it's like Mike evolving into Jim near the end of the movie, and like he finally decides to make the cut, and when he finally decides to take Michael Ironside's character, who I loved his character a lot, and use him as like the muscle to get the nerds to do what they have to do.
Oh yes, yeah, the manager.
Yeah. Did you notice too that near the end he started dressing like Steve Jobs?
A little bit.
Black turtleneck, black blazer, or something like that.
His hair that he gets, he styles.
It gets
looks
bigger and
terrible.
more fake.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was the only kind of circular storytelling that I saw at the beginning was like, okay, yeah, you think that's probably going to pay off, and yes, it does pay off. But the vision, the visual of Mike standing in the warehouse, hearing the buzzing coming from his own product, and he fixes the first one and puts it away, and then he immediately gets the second one out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh fuck, he's gonna Sisyphus himself out of this hole.
Yeah.
And then it tells just how much of a colossal failure that decision was. And it's like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, because he makes the decision we have to distribute from
China.
manufacture from China.
Yeah.
Which was something that he was like totally against from like the beginning.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's a lot more funny than I remember as well. It's pretty hilarious anytime that Matt Johnson's on screen. Doug's character is so good.
Mm-hmm.
He's so likable. He's like an annoying likable. It's like in your face, but in the best possible way.
Yeah.
And I really resonated with the vibe of their entire office and their goofy like movie night crew through the entire thing. And when it gets blown up and turned into this soulless
It needs
corporation.
to be serious, like you feel the tension between them because it's like Mike wants to be successful, and then he has his friend who like wants to be successful, but he's just like I don't want to say he's like being lazy or anything. It's just like he's not taking it as serious as Mike is.
Yeah, and just like a movie that the end result, we talked about Titanic and the predictable nature of The First Omen. That the Blackberry is going to blow up. You're just the machinations that get it there is really tense. And when they have their first meeting in New York, and they bring that prototype, and he leaves the prototype in the cab.
Yeah.
Oh God!
I was like, what?
Find the folder.
Yeah.
Find the folder.
Yeah, honestly, you dumb fuck, you stupid fuck. Find the folder.
He somehow gets it back.
Yeah, he goes calls the cab or something.
I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, so I really liked that, and I was tense. As soon as that happened, I'm like, oh, fuck, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Are they going to get this deal?
Yeah. Just as mysteriously as the folder disappeared, the prototype made it back.
Yeah. So I really liked Saul Rubinek in that role. He's the head of Verizon, head of the Verizon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who plays a great character in True Romance. But yeah, a couple interesting good small character parts in this. Carrie Elwes was great.
Oh,
He's a
yeah.
piece of shit guy from Palm Pilot.
Yeah.
That motherfucker. Oh, you know who told me that? Yeah. John Travolta told me that. Yeah, he's a pilot too. Cool. But I really also liked the entire vibe that Jim Balsillie had. Was like, what a piece of shit this guy was. I'm so glad he's on my side. You know?
I know. He's like, whenever he's like, the way he like conducts meetings is like, he's so insane, but somehow he manages to
pull it out,
convince them.
Yeah. Through sheer bullying alone.
Yeah.
So, hey, that's how the pyramids were built. Bully them into production, I guess. So, yeah, loved it. Great. Good pick, Javier. Very good.
Oh, thanks, y'all.
Yeah.
It is interesting, like going back to like when we know how we know the story is going to go because of what happened in real life. Like we all have iPhones now. No one has a Blackberry that I'm aware of.
I couldn't tell you the last time I saw one in the flesh.
It was just so interesting watching it, having my phone with me and knowing that like where it's gonna go, and then once they introduce the keynote, which was where I like my relation to the story came in, because I remember watching the very first keynote for the iPhone.
Yeah, me too.
And I was like completely blown away by that presentation, and like specifically when he does the scroll.
Yeah,
when he like scrolls on the music app.
Yeah,
and I was waiting for that moment in the story, in the movie, to come up. I was like, well, when's the iPhone gonna become the ultimate competitor? Because that's what it is. That's essentially I don't want to say it's the protagonist or antagonist, but
yeah, kind of.
It's
the impending force that's going to change everything for BlackBerry.
And then the decision that Mike makes, but it's like totally bullshit. He's like, yeah, it's going to be touchscreen, but it's still going to have that clicky, the BlackBerry click underneath the screen. And I'm like, what are What are you doing?
Like, oh, you talk about haptic feedback, which doesn't exist yet, you dope.
I know he's trying to like talk shit about the iPhone technology while he knows almost nothing about it, like how they did it or anything. It was just him trying to reason with himself.
Well, that's also the part in the story where he has completely changed now.
Yeah.
You know, the way he dresses, the way he like appears, but also the way he handles situations, right? It's not very much, I don't know, adapting to the situation. It's, I'm going to stick to this. I'm a genius. What they're doing is bullshit.
Yeah.
And, you know, up until that point, I was kind of still, even though I know how it ends, I was still kind of rooting for Blackberry still,
Yeah, me too.
you know?
Me too.
I hope they make it.
Yeah, you know, and here I am with like an iPhone. I'm like, I love this, but I'm so invested in the story that I want them to succeed somehow.
This is going to change our timeline.
Yeah, it's the fucking, what is it? The Inglorious Bastards of this.
Oh,
of
yeah.
this,
Alternate history.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever, do you notice too that as soon as he fully embraces his ballsily, when he fully becomes Jim, that's essentially when he's giving the same presentation at the beginning of the movie from the first act to the same group of people in Verizon, and he's giving a really haphazard pitch to those people. Jim's nowhere to be found. He is now Jim,
trying to buy
and Doug is now
teams.
Mike.
Yeah.
Like he's taken, quite literally taken that role in that presentation.
Yeah.
And does the best that he can, which is not very good.
No. It was interesting, like kind of looking up the real life, like looking up what they actually look like, and just seeing how actors portray the actors who they chose to portray these real life people. And like, I would say that Jim was probably a little bit more accurate than Mike. I feel like the real life person who is Mike, I don't know his last name, but it was just interesting to see that Jay Baruchel was cast as that character. Just on a physique standpoint.
Yeah. It definitely feels as if they cast it off vibe.
Yeah.
You know, like I think he played his character very, very well. And specifically in the first act, you can tell that he's someone who is brilliant, but very to himself. It doesn't know how to be a leader.
Yeah, he's very timid.
Exactly. And part 2, act 2, you can still see that he has some of that like timidness and a lot of unsureness, and still relies heavily on Jim. And then when he gets into that final third act, he has more confidence, but then he has those moments where he goes back into that like really self-conscious, unsure of himself moments. And I think that's probably why they went with Jay. Yeah.
Well, he's just Canadian royalty when it comes to Hollywood.
He really is. In the same way that like what Greta Gerwig is Sacramento royalty.
That's right.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Did you guys, there was one specific scene that stuck out to me as kind of almost like a wholesome pleasing your dad moment, like finally making your dad proud of you, when they figure out how to get 2 million Blackberries on the network stable after they crash the network.
Yeah.
And they're bringing it to Jim, and they say, "Oh yeah, we figured it out." And no, I think it's actually the BBM. It's when they're finally doing the free texting, and they send the message. There's 2 great moments in that. Number 1 was when he sends the message, "Come here, Watson," and they all celebrating or whatever. And then he tells them about the BlackBerry Messenger, and he says, "So you're telling me free texting only on BlackBerry?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck yes." And I was like, oh my gosh, the relief I felt for the people.
I felt exactly that, because this is like, it always feels great when it's that person who's always stern and very tough and is like, hell yeah. And then like it's a cause for celebration.
It's a finale of Whiplash.
Exactly.
Finally gives him the smile and he's like,
yeah.
But right after that, he's like a little kid again, trying to show his dad something. And he goes, do you notice the message I sent was "Come here, Watson"? That's what Alexander Graham Bell sent to his assistant said to him on the first phone call. See, it's like a historic thing. And he's like, yeah, shut the fuck up. Get out of here. All right, nerd.
So, something I thought this movie did a great job doing, and I think it has a lot to do with how they shot it, which Joseph kind of mentioned. It feels very docu style, at least that very first act, you know. The camera in a way is a character, right? And there's one, I forget which one, if it was in act 2 or 3, when I forget the character's name, but the one who's like the muscle is like, listen here, you fucking nerds, you're gonna like we're gonna fucking get to work and you're gonna stop playing with your little dicks, and then they like do a close up of the one single girl.
Yeah.
That's so
Like,
good.
That
Yeah.
was fucking hilarious. But it's very much that like the camera in itself is a character.
It felt like The Office at that moment.
Right. And in that first act, in the first 5 minutes, they do such a good job of like building tension of like, you see Jay just kind of sitting there and you hear that hissing and he's like, you hear that? And like you see him kind of like look around. It starts with like a rack shot of his ear as the camera pans over, rack focuses on the pager or whatever.
Intercom or something.
Yes. And it has that like, bingo moment where it's very much discovering everything. And then to the point where they're at their offices, like enjoying each other's company, having fun. And that's an environment that I mean, to an extent, that's what Weekend was for me a little bit before it got super corporate.
Yeah.
No shame to anybody over there, but like it was a fun job of like fucking around. I mean, doing stuff. We were working really
productively,
hard.
Doing work.
No, but like there was a lot of fun to be like had in that job, and I think like I hung out with a lot of the people there outside of work. I mean, it's where Joseph and I met, and you know, he's one of my greatest fucking homies. You know,
Yeah, that's right.
Same here.
Sometimes you get those great work environments, and you're like, we can be productive and also have fun. It's a little different when you're working in a coal mine than working in an office. You know, there is obligate downtime in office when you're rendering something or waiting on hold for a phone call to an insurance company or something like that. So I dig that. It doesn't always have to be
Working every single second of the day.
Yeah. I mean, that's my buddy Kevin. He's works for Google, and he's like, the culture there when he first got hired to Google was like unbelievable. You know, I remember he said something like when they gave me the job offer, I'm like, oh, what are my hours? And they're like, whatever you want.
Wow.
Just be productive. Just you can work 7 days a week. You can work 2 days a week. You can work from home. You can work whatever, but you have to produce. And if you don't produce, you're on contract. You're out. So make sure there's a reason for us to renew your contract.
I see.
I'm like, that is really something, man. That really is something.
Yeah.
You know, the ability to live and like thrive in that, especially in a creative environment. And then Charles Purdy comes in. That's who Michael Ironside plays.
Yes.
Charles Purdy.
There we go.
Yeah. There was some with that character or the actor Michael Ironside, because they do the movie nights in Blackberry.
Yeah.
Matt Johnson wanted to show the movie Total Recall
with Michael Ironside
as
in
the
it.
movie night, because Michael Ironside plays like an antagonist in that movie.
Yeah.
But I think they didn't want to.
They nixed it.
Get the rights or something. They're too complicated to obtain. Because apparently, Carolco, the studio that made that film, Total Recall, declared bankruptcy in the mid '90s.
So it's a free for all at this point, then.
Yeah, so they didn't want to spend months trying to find out who to obtain permission from.
That's funny.
So
I like the scene when Purdy does get handpicked by Jim. He's picking up the character. The actor's name is Sun Wong Cho.
Yes.
the voice actor
Who does? I know him as
YouTuber.
ProZD, the
Yes.
YouTuber. He does great shorts where he's like, anime protagonists are like this or whatever.
Yeah.
He's so funny, and he's got like 40 or 50 IMDb credits now. He does voice acting work, and he's in there. They're trying to snipe him from whatever company he works for, some head honcho, and Michael Ironside's character is just screaming at him.
Yeah.
Jim's like, who is that guy? And the next day he's there. He's like, fuck, I left this job to get away from this asshole. And here he is. I like it. That was really funny, really relatable. Okay, so when it comes to the limited series, so this is based off of what Variety's written, and this is based off of interviews with the author, the original book, and Matt Johnson. So Blackberry's never supposed to be two separate things. Both projects offered dramatized insights into Blackberry's parent company, Research in Motion, which I didn't realize that's what it was. I just knew it as RIM. Pre-pandemic, the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, or CBC, optioned Losing the Signal, the untold story behind the extraordinary rise and spectacular fall of Blackberry by Jacques McNish and Sean Silkoff, and it was the intention of turning it into a miniseries. So the entire time, that was what they actually wanted to do. They settled in with Matt Johnson, Matt Miller, who directed the movie. And it was a creative, original take on the story that could have possibly been a bit boring to retell, but we had basically faith in Matt Johnson. It's also an interesting piece of Canadian history. So since it was from Ontario or from Waterloo, they wanted to keep it a very Canadian production. 8 months into the scripting vision, they realized it felt more like a film, so they flipped it, trying to determine the best course of action. And they never decided at that point it was going to be two things until it was very near the end of production. It was always going to be one, and then it kept switching back and forth. We made the conscious decision to do a film while we were talking to the actors. Miller was one of the writers. He says, it's way different than something like the Snyder Cut. There's not a significant difference between the two things. There's about 16 minutes of new footage in ours, and the Snyder Cut is very different in the storytelling. Matt Johnson estimated they shot about 30% more footage than what we wound up in the film. And when they put together the cuts for the TV series, they added content that they felt was appealing to a Canadian audience specifically. More hockey, more insight into Balsilie's attempts to buy the Pittsburgh Penguins in 2006. Mm-hmm. And if you watch both versions, you'll notice that the big changes are at the beginning and the end of each episode, where they put more time refining the pacing and the rhythm. And I did feel like there was more lead up to the end of each one of the episodes, the first two episodes at least. So it was a little bit more tension. And let's see here. Here's a quote from Miller. In some ways, it was made great writing decisions to run things up to a commercial break and then to pull them back. We used commercial breaks as a story device and started thinking about them even when we were cutting the film. It's painful to cut off stuff from any project. Normally, filmmakers have trouble cutting out scenes that they spend a lot of time on, says Matt Johnson. It was easy to ruthlessly cut things out of Blackberry because it was like, well, at least there's an idea that the footage could have a second life. So I thought that was really interesting from a creator's perspective.
Yeah. It's interesting that this story, I mean, as portrayed in the movie at least, and the story of Social Network follow almost the exact same trajectory, where you have two people, Andrew Garfield or Mark Zuckerberg and whoever Andrew Garfield is, and then Mark Zuckerberg meets Justin Timberlake, or founder of Napster, and then they get more involved and slowly exiling Andrew Garfield at a certain point.
That's a good point. I never thought about that.
And then in this, you know, with Jim, I mean, he's there in the very beginning.
Yeah.
Essentially. But eventually they weed out Doug, and like he quits, I think, at a certain point, right?
He walks away essentially when their friendship ends, kind of.
So he slowly gets pushed away and pushed out of being involved in Blackberry and everything, or at least that's how he feels. And so it still ends up being them two. So it's like they sacrifice their friendships, much like what Jim says, like cut out your if it hurts the most, or cut out people in your life that aren't gonna help you succeed or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's interesting that like there's three people involved, and then a new person gets involved, and like they push out the original friend.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's interesting parallels there. So I really liked Social Network. I really liked Tetris. I really liked.
Oh yeah, Tetris was more just fun to watch.
Yeah, it was more fun. I liked Blackberry. I didn't watch Flamin' Hot. Which
I
heard it wasn't great.
I felt like a corporate grab at something.
Do you know that Eva Longoria directed that?
Did she really?
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
I'm pretty sure. Let's see here. Flamin' Hot. got that cat name on lock. Let's see here. Am I correct right with that, or am I tripping?
Eva Longoria directed that.
I know she's been directing more stuff lately. Let's see here. Yep, Eva Longoria directed.
Wow.
Interesting.
What else has she done? Now we're on Flaming Hot. Sorry, everyone.
Oh, it's fine.
Oh, now I'm really depressed.
Let's see here. What else did she direct? She has 18 credits. A lot of TV, though.
Oh.
Let's see.
Desperate
here.
Housewives?
Probably. Let's see here. Mundo, a short. Executive producer. No, not executive producer. I want director. Here we go. Let's see.
Why Women Kill TV series.
Yes. Gordita Chronicles TV series, 1 episode. La Guerra Civil.
Only 2 movies. She did a TV movie.
Mm-hmm. Jane the Virgin, 1 episode. 3 episodes of Blackish.
Glamorous was the TV movie, and then Flamin' Hot.
Well, also, La Guerra Civil. That's an hour and
What?
42-minute
Oh,
movie.
okay.
Probably Spanish language movie, I'd imagine.
Huh.
Interesting. Yeah, well, that's Flamin' Hot.
So
I haven't watched that.
Flamin' Hot is about Cheetos?
Yeah, the Flamin' Hot.
They're
Cheeto.
creating the Flamin' Hot flavor of the Cheetos.
Oh, okay.
And
because there's Flamin' Hot Funyuns.
Supposedly, it's all bullshit, by the way.
Yeah, I think that was like they wanted it to be like this, like very Hispanic driven story, but it's not accurate at all. Apparently,
So you get the ultra realistic, gritty version in The Social Network. You get the very fun, campy version in Tetris. You get the more comedic but also serious version in Blackberry. You get the alternative history version in Flamin' Hot, and then you get Frosted by Jerry Seinfeld, who's directing the Pop-Tart story.
Oh yeah.
Is this true?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
And it's a satire of all these movies. It's coming out this year or next year.
I don't know. I haven't looked into it.
He's got a very small part in it, but he wrote and directed it.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and it's like Tony the Tiger's a character, is like played by a known actor, and
Hugh
it's like
Grant.
Hugh Grant plays Tony the Tiger, and it's got so that's like the even more preposterous version of it, and it's almost like Weird, the Al Yankovic story. It's telling it in a ridiculous version of the truth, which is 100% false.
Yeah.
The 100% true story of Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah.
Where he fought the Medellin and the cartel.
And the food base. I mean, the founder of McDonald's.
Yeah, that was good.
That was more serious, but also kind of funny.
Are we cucks for capitalism for liking this?
I want to know how McDonald's got started.
Yeah. Can we get the Crossfire story? How that board game came to be?
Oh, yeah. Hungry Hippos.
Hungry Hippos, the movie. The gritty retelling from the Poonaverse.
Yeah. I mean, we got board game movies. Is it Jumanji? Although that was a movie first before it was
Battleship.
Oh, yeah, that was Battleship.
I can't think of any other board game movies.
Pixels. Does that count?
No, those are video games.
Tron. Well, that was Tron was not a game before. I don't think it was an arcade game before the movie came out, though.
Pinball. Where was the pinball movie?
Pinball Wizard. There's a Pinball Wizard. Movie. I think it's just called The Wizard.
I don't know. Isn't Pinball Wizard a song? By Rush or something?
That's the Pinball Wizard.
Oh, okay.
Which came first? Heather, tell us. Which came first? Pinball Wizard the song or the Wizard the movie?
The Wizard the movie.
Yeah. Let's see here. It says, despite being one of the rare Canadian movies to get as a wide release, approximately 200 theaters in Canada, as mainstream Hollywood movies get in the country, the movie was a huge box office failure in Canada, grossing only $300,000 the first weekend.
Wow, really?
I actually was not excited. I thought this was going to be popular over there.
I know.
That's insane.
Yeah. I thought that when Jim kind of gives up and he's like, all he wants at this point is to buy the Penguins.
He's done with Blackberry. Like he wants to get out.
That I lost the interest in it in that point. On his storyline, I was like, "Come on, man, help your friends out. What are you doing?"
At the end of the day, he's not a good person.
Yeah.
Well, because like it all comes back to him when he does the
he did stock fraud,
the stock fraud thing.
backdating stock options.
Yeah. Well, we'll just we'll retroactively make it more, and then you can. He's like, how much are you getting paid for this? $10 million.
I know.
Everybody's getting paid $10 million.
I know. How much are they paying for this? I probably shouldn't say. They're paying me $10 million. Yeah, me too. I love that. And I love that when they come in, they ask him, does anybody have any idea what Codex mainframing is or whatever? And only those two guys raise their hand. And they're like, okay, we'll make it work. And then he shows him he's running the entire network, AT&T's entire network on the guy's laptop. And he goes, why is it working so slow? And he goes, I got the new Baldur's Gate running. We hacked it. Look. Movie time. Every time he moves. Movie time. It's like fucking great.
The
total nerds.
When it all comes around and the who comes and gets them, like the legally who comes and gets them and starts rating there.
SEC.
So that's like the FCC for cell phones, for networks.
No, so the FCC is the FCC does control like anything that's broadcast, over airwaves, which would include cell phone usage or anything that even has like a RH or RF, like a radio frequency. It has FCC like numbers, like authorization numbers on any product that's like that. The SEC is like the stock commission. It's like Federal Trading Commission.
Oh, okay. So
they're the same people that would take down the dudes from
Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah, Wolf of Wall Street, or in the GameStop trading thing.
Oh yeah,
what was that called?
Stupid money.
Dumb money. Yeah, exactly. Oh, we have answers in the chat. Pinball Wizard from The Who. From The Who's Tommy is from the 1970s, and The Wizard, has Fred Savage and is in the 80s. So Pinball Wizard, the song, came first. Thanks, Andrew. Love it. Anything else you guys wanted to say? Call out specifically any scenes that stick out to you or anything?
No, I think this like that we kind of talked about already, but the end of him in the warehouse manually doing
So sad.
what he thinks he's.
I still felt bad for him, even though he was a shithead near the end.
Yeah, he just turned into a shithead.
Yeah. I was a big fan of when they're having their second meeting with Jim and they're at the diner and Jim's going to pay for it. And he's like, no, please, we can do that. And then brings out the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle wallet.
The Velcro. That was hella fun. Yeah.
Very good. Very good. I liked that. I also liked when they're in that meeting at the diner and Mike is starting to babble and ramble, and Jim picks up a piece of paper and crumbles it up, and he goes, "Oh," he shuts up. It's like they actually do have a good working relationship. You know?
That's
one hand washing the other in this weird symbiotic relationship, and
the whole time that the reason why Jim gets involved in the first place is he like in big fashion, he quits his job, right? He quits his job.
No, he gets fired.
He gets fired? Okay. He gets fired from his job, and almost like out of spite, he's joining with these people to...
Yeah, it's interesting.
He's like, with the whole, like, you have to make me CEO, and I have to have 50% of the company.
It's one of those things where... I think he was desperate. Yeah. And in that desperate, like he's desperately looking for something. That's literally the presentation that they left there. And he's like, I guess this shit sounds interesting.
Yeah.
And
did your guys' version have him at a like unemployment office?
No.
So there's a small scene. I don't remember it in the first version, but he's sitting in an unemployment office, and it's a government ran entity. And he's like, okay, Jim Balsley. He's like, it's Balsley. Okay, great, awesome. And what type of work are you looking for? He was like, tech, securities, trading, marketing, anything like that. All right. And what was your last, typing away, what was your last job at, Shinneman and Brothers or whatever? And he goes, senior vice president. The guy goes, oh, very good for you. Awesome, very good. And he types away. He's typing in. And he goes, all right, so let's see here. Where do you see yourself in 10 years? And Jim goes, owning a professional NHL team. And the guy goes, good one. And he's completely dead-faced, like staring at him.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, okay. He puts it in his computer there. And I think that's part of the Canadian audience, catering to the Canadian audience.
Yeah.
Canadian humor.
Well, they spend more time they planted the seeds that he always wanted a hockey team. That was his whole goal. So once he got the money,
Canadians in their hockey.
I know, crazy. Them, it's like, which do they like more, hockey or maple syrup? Or apologizing.
We have a couple Canadian listeners.
Yeah,
let us know.
Mitch and Steven.
Yeah, Mitch and Steven. Happy birthday again, Mitch.
There's that moment in the first act where, because I think he goes in hoping that it's going to be like a winner, but there's that moment where he realizes it is a winner when he calls I forget, like the company they had a contract with, and they were supposed to get millions of dollars. It's like, all right, we'll pay you.
US
we'll pay
Robotics.
you this. Yeah, and he's like, all right, we'll pay you this, but we also want the
patent for the phone.
Yeah, we want the patent for the phone. And that's the moment everything
like, wait, what phone?
switches instantly.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, fuck, we need to fucking go immediately. This is exactly what I thought it was.
Yeah.
It's a winner. This movie does a great job of just having a lot of tension. Like, my brother saw this and said it was very anxiety inducing,
A lot of it,
yeah.
I mean, there's that moment where I think towards the end where Jim is like, he's got to be in 2 different meetings in 2 different states. Like, he has to go to New York and Atlanta within the same day to attend these different like board meetings. Like, one to go meet with Mike and to attend some meeting in New York, and then he has to go to
Verizon.
Atlanta to
talk to the AT&T guy before he gets on a plane.
Yes. I was he was like, fuck it, I'm going to both. I was like, no way.
Bro, you can't be in 2 places at once as much as you want to fake. This is reality.
Do you guys remember the actual event when all the Blackberries went out?
I don't.
I because it was on the news. I definitely remember like that being an event. You
No,
know?
I don't remember that at all.
Which, what was it in the movie? It's like you have a collect call from, what the fuck is going on? What was it?
Yeah.
You have a collect call from Bob. I had a baby pizza boy.
Yeah, dude, that poor fucking phone did not deserve that.
I just like that how Glenn Howerton like fully committed into his performance and like being that like stoned faced asshole who's ready to snap at any given moment.
Yeah,
because he really portrays that
intense,
that look on his face.
Yeah,
like when he gets the when he gets the follow up call when he's just at his house like drinking, and he gets the call from Mike saying they're gonna do it. He's like, okay, and then he just like hangs up. Like no words.
Yeah,
exchanged. Yeah.
Couple.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say I love the retelling that Doug does. You know, every time he's like, yeah, and so he says, "Bitch." You know?
yeah.
Time slows down. You can see the particles of dust on the floor. His character is so good. If you listen to the commentary, I listened to some clips of the commentary from Matt Johnson, and he has specific reasons why they chose all of the shirts for the movie too.
Really?
All his like video games and band shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting. I won't go into much of that, but this is one. I mean, Matt Johnson is so detail oriented, and he really has a love for the craft of film that I think it's worth, if you have the physical version, watch the commentary version of it. A couple of quick spoiler or trivia bits before we go into initial or final grades. But in the movie, they imply that the Blackberry is based off of the name of the stain that Mike has on his shirt when he goes into the into the meeting. But in reality, it was a marketing team, and they had 40 other names in contention. Blackberry was specifically chosen because of the way it was on the keyboard keys is a reference to the droplets of the fruit. So the physical keyboard looked almost like the little nodules on a Blackberry.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, it was like dark keyboard. There's a line when Jim is basically cussing out the owners of the NHL for not letting him in.
Yeah, they've 26-0 unanimously.
Well, the dude's right. What a fucking idiot. He was literally getting ready to purchase a stadium, an arena in Canada to move Pittsburgh Penguins into Canada.
Yeah.
Before he even was the owner. Well, what kind of ball? Well, Jim balls. Yeah. But he says, I'm from Waterloo, where the vampires hang out. And that's it. There's a viral video that was set in it was Ontario, and there was a guy on the street being interviewed about what it's like to be in Ontario or Waterloo or whatever. And he said that there was religious persecution. He's like, the interview was insane. He's increasingly getting more and more angry about this, like some religious persecution or something. And he's like, I was like a vampire in the streets of Waterloo. They were holding crosses at me, and I was being commissioned. And then he eventually rips his shirt off in the middle of the interview. Like, the guy's insane.
This is a real interview.
Yeah, this is like a viral video interview from way back in the day, 03, 05 or something like that. And then
so that line is a reference
to that viral video.
Random viral video. It's hella funny.
And then the very final shot where it pulls back and Mike is fixing phone after phone after phone in the warehouse.
Yeah.
That's a reference to the Raiders of the Lost Ark warehouse shot,
which they show in the movie.
Early in the movie. Yeah, and he says it's everybody's favorite movie or whatever. Or it's Mike's favorite movie. Is what he says. You're missing your favorite movie. Yeah. So I think we've talked at length about
I wonder what
this.
Tyler would think about this.
I don't know. I guess I guarantee he didn't watch this.
If you guys haven't seen it, Nirvana the band, the show, it's hard to find.
Nirvana the band, the show.
Yeah, it's by Matt Johnson as well. It's really, really good.
This is like a short.
No, it's a series. I think it had like 3 seasons.
Oh, okay.
I saw the first 2. I'm trying so desperately to find the third one. It's almost impossible to find.
It doesn't even show a 3rd season on Just Watch.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
And it says it's not available anywhere on Just Watch.
You can't watch it anywhere. It's such a fucking shame.
You're gonna have to sail
Where'd
the
you
7
watch it?
seas.
I saw it on Daily Motion.
Okay, yeah.
It was one of those like, oh, here we uploaded it, watch it, and it's a mix of like things are staged in a way. Not really. Situations are planned, but they use like real people in real environments. So it feels very much like, I don't want to say like a prank show, but There are real people's reaction that dictate how the story unfolds.
Two
It's really, really
lifelong
good.
best friends and roommates are planning the greatest musical act in history of the modern world. That's what the synopsis is.
You can watch season 2, episode 1, The Burger, on YouTube, and episode 2 on YouTube.
Oh, great!
It's great. It's also a love letter, that show. So sorry, as you were saying.
Oh, great! No, it's good. So let's put some grades on this. Javi, what are you going to grade Blackberry?
I mean, honestly, I enjoyed it so much, I'd probably give it an A- to A, somewhere around there.
All right, you're very tight with your grades.
I hope so.
You're very tight with your grades. What's an A+ for you?
A+? It's
only
oh
an
gosh.
movie.
It's a fiction. Is it only?
I mean,
exists in fiction.
I mean, honestly, it would probably have to be like Whiplash. I don't know.
Whiplash,
That's probably an
Godfather.
A+. No, not even Godfather.
A- for Godfather.
A- for Godfather.
Marriage Story.
Oh my God, I did love. No, that's an A-, I think.
Okay.
I think that's it. Like another really close one for me is probably I really loved Last Black Man.
Oh,
in San
yeah.
Francisco.
That's solid. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably an A. I don't know though. Whiplash is the only one I can think of off the top of my head right now.
That'd
Okay.
be an easy A. What about Easy A?
The movie Easy A?
Yeah.
That's an easy like B.
Oh, okay.
It's an easy B. All right, cool. So A- or A? Porter.
Yeah, I'll say A-. It's probably an A-.
Okay.
Okay. Joseph, what's your grade for Blackberry?
I think it is an A for me. Yeah, just it's really entertaining. Just like taking something like, I guess, sort of dramatic, a real life event like this, and just condensing it into this really entertaining and funny, and then casting it well.
Yeah.
With the right people, and it's really tense at moments and really exciting, and shot well, looks good. Yeah, it's just really good, really compelling story.
What's an A+ for you?
A+.
I'm just curious now.
I mean, Les Mis, Tree of Life, Children of Men.
Just those three.
I'm sure there's more.
The Hip Hop Witch.
Dune and Dune Part 1, Dune Part 2.
They're both A+?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Unaccompanied minors.
Yeah, Unaccompanied Minors. The Hip Hop Witch.
All right, cool. Okay, so you good?
Yeah, A.
I probably would grade the on first watch the original theatrical version on my first viewing B, probably B, maybe B+, but probably closer to a B. On this rewatch, it's a easy solid A. Yeah, A, right in the middle of A. Very funny, very engaging, very suspenseful at times. Good writing, good like cyclical writing in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Characters are super fun. Minus points for the wigs. Mike's wigs, yeah. Minus points for that.
Do you wear wigs?
I do not like obvious wigs. Not a huge wig fan. But all the energy of like the nerds and their fun time that they had together was like, man, I really miss those times in my life. You know, just geeking out with friends for long periods of time together.
Yeah.
And taking a story about a fucking Blackberry and making it this interesting is like a feat, in my opinion.
100%.
So, all right, that is it for Blackberry. Now it's time for the Wheel of Destiny. 1 wheel, 8 slots, 3 hosts. This is the Wheel of Destiny. All right, Blackberry off the wheel.
It's a Patreon pick. So
Both of our patrons were, and we're actually going to replace. I'm prepared now to replace the two Patreon picks. Let me erase this fully here. I'm going to have to do like a deep clean on this at some point. Some of these have been on there for a while. All right. So now we're going to recycle back to the Patreon. Here are our Patreon lists here. And we are going to go with Binge Lord Dan.
Okay.
And his pick, A Very Long Engagement.
A Very Long Engagement.
Very Long Engagement. Now, I've heard from him, is maybe his favorite movie of all time. I think
2004.
It's an A+ film. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, it may be. I think he said it was his favorite movie of all time. If not, it's very high up there for him.
Jean-Pierre Jeunet.
Yep.
Director.
Classic. And we're going to go with Tyler's kin, who she's been a Patreon member for quite some time now. A more recent Patreon member.
Mother?
No, this is MacKenzie.
Oh,
sister.
Sibling.
And she gave me 2 choices. She told me to pick between the 2, and I chose Fern Gully.
Ooh, what was
Fern
the other
Gully.
one?
Yeah.
What was the other? Yeah, what was the other one?
I can't remember.
Oh.
Fern Gully.
Use your brain.
I'm very sorry I didn't use my brain for that. All right. So next up that's going to be on the list, we have Jack Fitzpatrick. He's going to have his movie chosen, which is Stanford Prison Experiment. That's the next one.
Oh, okay.
And then at that point, we're pretty much back up to the top of the list and kind of jockeying back and forth. So we're going to be going to Heather Sachs, who's in the chat. Heather, you're going to have a movie, which I think she might have sent me one in the past, but I'll ask you again one more time if it's changed since then. So that'll be after we get another Patreon pick. So I'm going to recap the wheel for new listeners and new viewers. This is the Wheel of Destiny. We have 8 slots. We have A Very Long Engagement from Binge Lord Dan, Ferngully from Patreon MacKenzie, Windy City Heat from Pete, The Brave Little Toaster from Pete, Mr. and Mrs. Smith from Tyler, American History X from Tyler, Oppie from Joseph, and Charade from Joseph. So here we go.
Will it land on Tyler?
How do you want to call it?
Yeah, let's see. Oh, wait, where are my glasses? Where are my glasses? Wow. Windy City and Heat.
Windy City Heat.
Oh, Windy City Heat. Sorry, my bad.
All right,
No
cool.
Tyler pick again.
No Tyler pick. Sorry, Tyler.
Dang.
Well, he's not here. We would have forfeited anyways.
Yeah.
All
He'll
right.
never get in a movie review.
Nope, never. The board is rigged at this point. Okay, so let's see. Windy City Heat. Let's see where it is streaming.
Windy City Heat. Is this an old movie?
I think it's like 95.
Oh.
No, 03.
God.
03. Windy City Heat 03. Not streaming anywhere.
Awesome.
Well, I'll have to figure out how to find I bet you it's probably on YouTube somewhere.
Oh, the Bobcat Goldthwait movie.
Was it a Bobcat movie?
He directed it, and he's in it too.
This is the guy that did World's Greatest Dad.
And Sleeping Dogs.
Did he direct that?
Yeah.
The Ron Williams movie?
Yeah, he also directed the Sasquatch movie too.
Which one?
Something Creek.
It's something like that.
Here, I'll look it up right now. Bobcat
Some Creek?
It's like Willow Creek or something.
It is something like that. It's like a found footage big fucking movie.
Yeah. He was also played as an actor. Oh, he directed Shakes the Clown also. God Bless America. The what's his name? Bill Murray's brother who's in God Bless America.
Willow Creek.
Willow Creek.
Oh, what
Yeah,
Willow Creek?
you're spot on.
Sweet. Also, the voice of Pain from Hercules.
Is that true?
One of the little demons. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Your most lugubriousness. That's him. So Windy City Heat. Let me get back to the synopsis here. Here is the synopsis from IMDb. A man caught up in the glamour of being a Hollywood celebrity has no idea that the production he's in is a fake. This toes the line between like Borat and like Jackass or like Tom Green show or something like that.
Okay.
And this is starring Tony Barbary as Mole, Perry Caravello as himself, Don Barris as Don, Roman Polanski is played by Dane Cook, Bobcat Goldthwait is the director, Carson Daly plays himself, Jimmy Kimmel plays himself, Adam Carolla plays himself.
Everyone is playing themselves for the most part.
Tammy Faye Baker is playing herself. And the 3 guys, Don Barris, Tony Barbarelli, and Scary Perry Caravello, they are known as the Big 3. That's what they call themselves. And Perry is this like Carl Pilkington from An Idiot Abroad. He's just this really weird personality, and they just are like, we got to focus all of our attention on this fucking guy and putting him in weird situations to have him blow up because he has a crazy temper like Sam Kinison.
Okay.
So that's the movie. I will try to find like a YouTube link for it or something like that.
Can you rent it?
It doesn't say it's available anywhere.
Oh, God. Unstreamable.
Yeah. Windy City Heat YouTube. Let's see. Yeah, you can get on YouTube, 1.5 hour full length movie.
Free?
Yeah, it's free on YouTube.
Sweet.
Hell yeah.
Let's watch it right now.
Yeah. Our stream is going to continue. It's a Comedy Central Films. Comedy Central Presents is the first thing I saw when I popped it up.
I didn't know they like produce movies.
Yeah. I guess now that I think about it, I don't know of any other ones. So reason I picked this because it's a weird movie that no one's ever heard of. And
Have you seen it?
I've seen chunks of it, but Scary Perry is a very weird character.
Did you stream pick this? I feel like I've heard of this.
We talked about it when I put it on the wheel for a minute.
Oh, I see. That's
Yeah.
probably it. Okay.
Why isn't this movie The Town? Well, we'll see how close to The Town it is. All right. Anything else you guys have? Javi, do you have anything you want to promote before we say goodbye?
No, you can follow me on Instagram. Is that period Javi? That's a period. Don't spell period. It's the symbol.
It's dot.
It's that Javi.
Yeah.
Is that dot?
Is that hot?
Is that dot Javi?
Yeah.
Oh, Tyler's in the chat.
Oh, what do you say?
He says, I didn't find any swords at the dump.
Is that what you were looking for?
Maybe
That's why you didn't come? You were looking for swords? Who's your sword guy?
Who would throw away a sword?
You need to look for stuff that people are throwing away, like Microsoft Zunes or Blackberries. All right, cool. So look you up on Instagram. Anything for your like day-to-day job? Production stuff you want to
Don't do drugs?
Oh, okay, yeah. So I work at a place that does PSA. So, have naloxone on you. It'll save lives.
Naloxone, is that the Narcan?
Narcan.
Okay, cool.
Narcan is the like the Band-Aid. Naloxone is the...
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's the actual product.
Yeah.
It's like a facial tissue.
Exactly. Yeah. Kleenex versus... Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
I'm going to try to post more on Instagram in 4 weeks. So
In
follow
4
me,
weeks?
follow me in 4 weeks. I'm
Okay.
gonna try to get shit up on there.
Tyler says, Jobs was a trailblazer.
He's probably watching it from the beginning.
He's watching the movie now.
No, he's probably watching a stream from the beginning.
That's great. Yes, Heather. I'm gonna put the link in the YouTube. I'll probably post it up on the Facebook page and Twitter and stuff for people that want to watch Windy City Heat along with us.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Anything else?
No.
All right. So thank you to everyone who's joined us in the YouTube live, who stuck with us from the beginning. We got Andrew Martin from Cult of Cinema. Look for him on TikTok as Cult of Cinema with an SINEMA. And go look through the back catalog of the podcast. Andrew Watches Movies, solid movie podcast, one-man show, hard show to produce. And look for all of us, including Andrew, including Heather, and all of our pals on the Cinematics Facebook group. Just look up Cinematics, and there's a Facebook page, and then there's the Facebook group. The group is the fun one where all the fun happens. Until next time. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Follow us next week as we review Windy City Heat, and it'll be in the YouTube notes for this show, and it'll be in the YouTube note or the show notes for the next one, but it'll be too late by then. So look it up. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/MCFC podcast, and send us an email, mcfcpodcast@gmail.com.
And
follow us on Twitter and Instagram, a Middle Class Film Class.
Close enough.
Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Podcast MCFC.
There we go.
Yeah.
Yes, and go to the YouTube channel, support us there. All the links are in the show notes. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
See ya.
There you go.